between the Blue Bombers and the Lions, the second and final meeting between these two teams in the regular season. We are live from beautiful Vancouver, BC. By the way, it is summer camp game and all kinds of young Lions fans hoping for a win. QB back tonight. The Lions will be without theirs. Nathan Rourke, the third QB on the depth chart with an oblique injury. So the veteran Jeremiah Masoli in his 12th season steps in.
He's back. That's right. Zach is back. And yes, the last time he was here at BC Place, it wasn't a good experience. It was the Toronto Argonauts, but he will look to get back against the BC Lions.
Yeah, we know Keon Hatcher had a huge game last week, 4 for 150 and a touchdown, but the numbers aren't what Keon Hatcher's all about. You ask anybody in that Lions locker room, the tempo setter on offense is number 4, Keon Hatcher.
How nice is this for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers? You lose your MOP and Brady Oliveira to injury, and then you find this guy, Matthew Peterson, 130 yards. He had his first CFL TD. It was a 39-yard run. He looked fantastic in last week's game against the Lions. We'll see what he can do today. And we are inside beautiful BC Place, a little different than the weather in Calgary, I must say, as we welcome you for the CFL on TSN. It is last game of week number 3. It's Enoch Mwamba. It is Davis Sanchez. And I love being in the stadiums because we can see the Lions coming in behind us right now. And Enoch, we were just discussing, and although the Bombers got the best of the Lions a week ago, this one does truly feel a little bit different.
It totally is different. You got Zach back. It changes a lot of things. I mean, you have Strevler. Even if it's the same calls, you're probably going to have a different result because Zach Loris is at the helm right now. And so it feels like the Lions are going to be playing the different team, but the Bombers are playing a completely same team. And so you're watching the film coming into this game, Chaz, you're feeling like, oh my goodness, like this is going to be a different game. So it'll be interesting to see how the Lions are going to attack this game.
If you think that the big difference in this game is the fact that Zach back, that's not a good thing for this BC Lions team because they rolled with their backup quarterback last week. Talking to guys in this Lions team about last week, one thing I don't think we talked about enough, and it's not an excuse, but it's a fact, and they talked about it. It was a short week last week. BC had to travel to Winnipeg, coming off of that home opener with Snoop Dogg. They only had 1 day to practice. They went in there and talked to these guys. They got out physical. They don't feel good about it. I can guarantee you, watching that film of last week's game against Winnipeg was a tough pill to swallow for these BC Lions. I just talked to Christian Covington less than 10 minutes ago, and he said you're going to see a different Lions defense today. More physical. They didn't feel good about last week. I expect better energy. Let's see if that can make a difference to this team. Obviously, missing Nathan, they're going to have to find something to improve from last week.
You're talking about the BC Lions defense. We're going to have to watch out as well for this Winnipeg Blue Bombers defense. You saw Willie J already starting the season off really well the way he ended last year as well. He's going to put a lot of pressure on Jeremiah Masoli. They want to see also what does he have as well in the tank. And you talk about Tony Jones. This is another guy that I want to really watch for. The middle linebacker, he's the one that replaced Adam Bighill, and he's been doing a really good job. He's somebody that's been really carrying his defense and handling business really well.
This is going to be a fascinating matchup, and I honestly just think you're so right. This could be completely different than what we saw a week ago. And the BC Lions team that we saw in opening week against the Elks, they look fantastic as well. So we'll see what they can do today. And how about Zach Laros? As the guys mentioned, he is returning today, and he is just a single TD away. He is currently at 199. His next one will be the 200th of his career. Here he is with our Farhan Malji.
This week, once the Buffalo gets a win, how excited are you to get back on the field and begin your season?
Just excited to get back out here. It feels like it's been a long time, because it has been. So, great group of guys, playing a great opponent in a great city, so it's going to be a lot of fun.
You lost a couple of pieces offensively, but you developed such a connection with Dalton Schoen before his injury last year. What's that connection been looking like in practice?
Good. Just continue to build it. He's a great player, one of the best I've ever been around, so he makes it easy.
Thanks for this.
Thanks, man.
I'm sure they still have that connection, to say the least. It is the conclusion of week number 3 in the CFL from Vancouver. We're ready. The fans are ready. Kickoff from BC Place is coming up next.
It's a motivated. We was the most hated. All of the winners that hang in my circle know we are associated. Losing is overrated. I gotta overstate it. All of the winners that hang in my circle, yeah, we gotta orchestrate it. We gotta focus daily. Mind state keep me devoted. Training thought like a locomotive. I got tunnel vision, I am very focused. Run you over and I'll never notice. Get it in and I'm in tune. I'm fully focused and I improve. Got determination that I include.
Well, it is a perfect night for football on the West Coast, although we're inside, so it really doesn't matter and just feels bad at this point with everything that went down in Calgary. The Lions and the Bombers meeting for the final time in the regular season as we welcome you back inside BC Place. And you know what, Enoch, we're sitting here, but we saw the Lions come out, and there does feel like a different energy to this game than there was 1 week ago.
Absolutely. I mean, Chaz, you already talked about it. They got a little bit of a better week this time, and they got some time to get ready for this game. I'm looking at the person I'm going to be watching out for is actually in Winnipeg. He's a guy that we saw for the first time, Matthew Peterson. 130 yards last week. That's one game. Young man, can you do it again? Tonight is the night that we're going to start to see really who are you.
This isn't high school football, and I don't want to talk too much about the rah-rah energy stuff, but I'm going to say this. You're the BC Lions. You had your potential MOP quarterback, your starting quarterback against Winnipeg's backup last week, and you got dusted. Now Winnipeg has their potential MOP quarterback, and you have your backup. So now it's going to be about that rah-rah energy, because that's the only way BC wins this game. If they out-physical a team that most think has been the most physical team in this league.
And I think it's going to also be a mental game, right? You talk about both backup quarterbacks coming in. There's going to be mistakes that are going to happen. They're not the starters. They haven't taken all the reps this training camp. How do you overcome that adversity is one thing that you're going to have to watch tonight as well, Chaz.
I think the thing is, too, when you talk about Winnipeg, that was their home opener. I mean, they were facing an entire home crowd. And you know what? I'll give it to Lions fans right now. We got the drums in front of us ready to go, and that always does make a difference in games like this.
Absolutely. Lions have got to come out fast. Let's see how Zach looks. Remember, Zach has not played in preseason. You know, you don't get much from Zach. So this will be rust at the beginning for Zach, likely.
And we brought in the cheer team just at the exact right point, because it is time for now for Motivate. We got the guys calling tonight, but first it is John Liebert of Duncan, BC. This is your chance to win big thanks to Save on Foods. $1 million touchdown to win. If a kickoff is returned for a touchdown, you could win groceries for a year. If 2 kickoffs are returned for touchdowns, you could also win $1 million. Good luck, John. Let's get you to Dustin Nielsen and Glenn Suter. Nielsen and Glenn Suter.
Thank you, Kate. Week 3 of the CFL skid set to wrap up here on the West Coast. It's the second half of a CFL Saturday double dip with the Lions hosting the Bombers, a rematch of last week's Bombers 34-20 victory in Winnipeg. But there's a bit of a plot twist here as we've got 2 different quarterbacks. Jeremiah Mazzoli on one side and the return of Zach Collaros on the other.
Yeah, first game for Zach Collaros for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in this one, and he'll be looking tonight to hit a personal milestone early if it was up to him. His next touchdown pass will be number 200 of his career for Zach Collaros. And for the BC Lions, with Nathan Rourke hurt, they turn to veteran pivot Jeremiah Mazzoli. 60th CFL start for Jeremiah, first as a BC Lion. He's 3-6 career versus the Bombers.
Buck Pierce taking the loss in his old stomping grounds last week, but the good news is he is 1-0 at home so far this season. That opening week victory against Edmonton. Mike O'Shea on the other side, his team has won 5 of their last 6 against these BC Lions. This is it for the season series. These 2 teams will not meet again unless it is in the postseason, which of course could be very likely with the BC Lions and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Winnipeg won the toss and chose to take the ball, and they will get it just inside their own 15. We are underway, and that'll be brought back by Baul. Takes it out just shy of the 40, and look who it is. Zach Collaros back at the helm of the Bombers.
Yeah, as the leader of this football team, he is 49-15 since taking over as the starting quarterback for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Looking for his 40th 300-yard passing game, and as we mentioned, the touchdowns. Personal milestone if he can get to number 200. He'd like to do it early.
107 of those over the last 4 years with the Bombers. A win here today would be his 50th as the starting quarterback of Winnipeg as well. They'll hand push ahead for a couple of yards. Let's take a look at this Winnipeg offense here this evening.
One change on the O-line. Micah Vanderpool is out. Gabe Wallace will play that left guard spot for him. And no Brady Oliveira in the backfield. It will be Matthew Peterson. And if you ask the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, it's no problem. Matthew Peterson took over early in the first game between these two teams and rushed for 130 yards.
Peterson originally drafted by the Ticats, acquired via trade by the Bombers. Collaros looking to throw. Second down, near side. Clercius has it. Bit of a stiff arm. And it'll be a first down for the visitors.
Zach Collaros didn't get a chance to even be on the sideline in that first game of the regular season. The Bombers, of course, had the bye to open up the campaign this year. So they got a chance to take a look at the game film of every other team before they played their first game last week.
Clercius with the first catch of the game. He had just one last week. Collaros out into the flats, spinning up towards midfield. The former rider Jareth Stearns against this BC defense.
Yeah, you heard the panel talking about they need to be more physical, and that's been their focus this week. They should be with Siona Tahema coming back into the lineup. First game for him this year. Ben Hladik, last time they played in BC Place in their opener, Hladik had a nice interception. He'll be important. And if you're looking at the matchup between receiver and DB, Ronald Kent and Jalen Edwards-Cooper are going to be matched up against Dalton Schoen and Nick Dembski. They've got to play their best game today to get a win.
Tahema with 22 sacks over the last 3 seasons. Out into the flat, Schoen takes it at the 50 up to the 45. And Winnipeg moving the ball pretty well here early in this game.
Yeah, just when you take a look at Dembski, who's looking to continue his consecutive game streak with a catch, at least one. There's Dalton Schoen getting involved. You know, there's great chemistry going back a couple of years now between Zach Collaros and Schoen. So pressure on the DBs at the halfback position for the BC Lions. Edwards Cooper and Ronald Kent.
And that was Robert Carter Jr. who made the tackle on Schoen. First and 10. Collaros getting everybody involved here in the early going as he slings one out to Carrick Wheatfall, who had 5 catches last week for 127 yards and a touchdown.
Collaros looks sharp. Enoch talking about the last time that he was here, it didn't work out very well. Now, it was a different opponent.
Yeah.
It was the Toronto Argonauts. And after he injured that finger in the Grey Cup game, a couple of interceptions in that fourth quarter really turned it. It was a one-possession game going into the fourth.
Second and 9 from the Lions, 41. Collaros, a bit of time in the pocket, gets it away. Break back immediately to Wheatfall. And he's got another first down for Winnipeg.
You know, and just, I know this is early, and it's just the first few reps for Collaros in the 25 campaign, but you can see his quick readability. I mean, he pre-snap, he knows where he wants to go with the ball. That was a check down on the last play. But those flat throws, check downs, understanding the defense, what they're giving up, and moving the football in this first drive. He looks pretty sharp.
Did a good job there getting that ball over the defensive line into the hands of Wheatfall. Career high last season. On the ground, Peterson right up the middle, churning. A little bit of help from his offensive lineman.
Yeah.
Gabe Wallace starting at left guard, giving him a little bit of a extra boost.
Well, here's the thing. You know, with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and their run game, I know I've hit this a bunch of times, but if you don't stop the run against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, you cannot win. I'm just going to say it flat out. Now, you can still get beat if you do stop the run, because Zach is a Hall of Fame quarterback. He's going to the Hall when he's done. However, if you don't stop the run up front, it's over. You might as well give Winnipeg the 2 points. So I think that's been the focus for the Lions this week.
Back on the ground again, Peterson looking for that additional boost. BC defensively so far in the season, giving up 144 yards rushing against per game. That's second worst in the league early in the year. But obviously something that you got to put together if you're going to have success.
Well, it just seems like the run game is what really feeds and gives this team energy, the Bombers. So that's Mike Benavides, the DC. He's got to get these guys gap responsible, meaning, you know, that A gap between the center and the guard, the B gap between the guard and the tackle, and the C gaps outside. Every one of those D linemen will have one of those assignments. And some of them, especially in the case of Matthew Betts or Sione Tehema, might have two gaps. But you got to close them. You got to be gap sound, or else this Bomber team is going to run away with it.
3rd and 1, Strevler into the game, looking to pick up the first down. They go straight ahead. And the officials will come over to sort this out. I think he probably has it, but it wasn't automatic, that's for sure. And we'll see where this ball ends up being spotted.
And you know who knows that better than anybody when it comes to the Bomber offense and what they like and what they have liked is Buck Pierce, the head coach of the BC Lions.
Well, they get the first down. Strevler stays in. We've seen this over the years with Strevler. We're going to roll him to his right. Dumps it off near side. Nice move at the 10. Down to the 5. Look into the end zone, and he is in. Flag on the play. I think it's coming back. To the end zone, but
holding Winnipeg, number 86. 10-yard penalty. Will repeat first down.
Kevin Sklercius, the guilty party.
Sklercius is right near the point of attack, too, here up the top right corner of the screen. And this is Chris Ike in the flat, wide open, by the way, not covered by anybody. You see the tackle made by Sklercius. That's the call, and this one will come back. Yeah, I don't think there's any question about the holding there.
So Bombers off the board, and that'll put them in the 1st and 20. Injured Lion down on the field, and will step away. Winnipeg loses Brady Oliveira early last week, and what an opportunity for Matthew Peterson.
Out of the U of A in Alberta, Matthew Peterson gets the football 23 times because it doesn't matter for Winnipeg, really. I mean, it matters, but if they have to go with their backup tailback, they don't change the game plan. 130 yards rushing in his first real opportunity.
5.7 yards per carry. Collaros now down the field, lays it out there. Paladek will make the tackle after the completion is hauled in by Carrick Wheatfall. That's his 3rd catch of the ball game.
Little underthrown here from Collaros, but he gets it there. He has to pull Wheatfall back on that deep crossing route.
Second and 4 now. Empty backfield for Collaros. 4 to his right, including Nick Dembski. Collaros, a ton of time. Bounces out to the left. Throws a corner shot to the end zone. Hauled in. Dalton Schoen with the touchdown. The 200th of Zach Collaros' illustrious career.
Well, and two of the things that make Zach Collaros so good is, one, and he doesn't get enough credit for it, his adjustments in the pocket. When he starts to feel a little bit of pressure, he'll make that subtle move, left, right, sometimes step up. He makes that move to the left this time, and what an accurate throw over the shoulder of Dalton Schoen. Number 200 of his career for Zach Collaros.
Castillo for one more. Collaros, 7 of 7 for 70 yards and a touchdown. Here in his season debut. Waste no time getting the Bombers on the board, on the road. Collaros out of the pocket, on the run to Schoen in the end zone. Winnipeg leads early.
Here's the route for Dalton Schoen. Nice little out and up right down the sideline. So mentioned the pressure being on the halfbacks for the BC Lions defense. Jalen Edwards-Cooper, he gets beat here, but if he goes back, he can still make up, but he's looking back this way. When he looks this way and doesn't look through Dalton Schoen, you see how Schoen separates and fades away from him just enough to have that over the top of the shoulder. Small, it's a little technique of looking through the hands of the receiver rather than looking back over the opposite shoulder.
12 plays, 72-yard drive that took over 7 minutes. And on the return, that is Seven McGee making his debut here.
200 touchdown passes in Zach Collaros' career. Look at the names. Just look at the names on that list.
They're good. The best to ever do it. A bunch of them there, obviously. And he's not done. He's got another. He signed another extension. So he's under contract through next season. Only had 17 touchdowns last year. Had a career high for passing yards, but only 17 touchdown passes. Now we got to look at Jeremiah Mazzoli on the run to his right, dumps it off, has a completion to Keon Hatcher, who's currently second in the league in receiving yards. Let's take a closer look at Jeremiah.
Well, he got some playing time last week when Nathan Rourke got hurt and went 7 of 10 for 84 yards, 1 interception. But I mentioned off the top, experienced quarterback, a guy who had a 5,000-yard passing season in his career back in 2018. Some injury issues along the way, but
on the ground, first down, James Butler. Yeah, he had over 5,200 yards in 2018, and now he runs this BC offense.
One change up front. Chris Slugger's out, and Tyler Packer will play for him out of the U of C. He's going to play that right guard position. And big second half for Keon Hatcher in the first game between these two teams in Winnipeg last week.
Packer played a little bit of center and some guard last year for the Lions. 3 to the left, 3 to the right. Here for Mazzoli. Throws to the right quickly. And that tackle is made, nowhere to go, but the catch is completed. And that is the first of the game for Justin McInnes against his Winnipeg defense.
A lot of people talking about Winnipeg getting too old. Well, Willie Jefferson is getting older, but he's not slowing down in any way. 2 knockdowns for Jefferson in game 1 of the regular season. Tony Jones led the team with tackles with 9 at middle linebacker and a couple of picks for Marquise Bridges, who 2 interceptions in the first game of the season.
Willie Jefferson 1 sack shy of 75 in his career. Back on the ground again. Butler had to hesitate. Picks up about a yard, but he needed 3, and that'll bring up 3rd and 2 for the BC Lions. Smack dab at midfield.
Yeah, this will be interesting to see what Buck Pierce does. He looks like he's going to bring in the short yardage team and go for this. He went for it in game 1. Remember their first game of the regular season against Edmonton. He went for it, didn't get it.
It's the first quarter, but I'll say this is a pretty big moment right here.
Yeah. You're giving Zach Collaros midfield if you don't get it.
0 for 2 on 3rd and short. They'll hand it off. Pushing ahead, and they've got it. BC Lions offense will stay on the field as they attack with James Butler.
If I remember correctly, in that first week of the season against Edmonton, they went quarterback sneak on that and didn't get it. This time they turn around and give it to their tailback, and James Butler gets that. I asked Buck about the decision, and the head coach said, yeah, I learned a little bit about, our team. I learned a little bit about game, planning and game management. But clearly he'll do it again.
Work that time. 1st and 10 for the Winnipeg 52. Mazzoli under pressure gets it away, and that is incomplete. Defended well by Evan Holm as Mazzoli was looking for Aiden Eberhardt, who had 1 catch last week for 49 yards.
There he is there. Yeah, that big catch was sort of gave the BC Lions hope last week late in the first half as they were going in the locker room that they could make the comeback, because it was all Bombers to start that game.
2nd and long for Mazzoli. Bombers Sent for Mazzoli's got a man open. It's McInnes. Takes it down inside the 40, and BC looking to respond with a drive of their own here in the first quarter.
Yeah, Justin McInnes been used. He's got one touchdown, but been used sparingly, I would say, in the first 2 weeks. And they're just trying to work on that chemistry between him and Nathan Rourke. But this time is Jeremiah Mazzoli tonight, and McInnes gets on the board early.
A couple of catches for McInnes. He's got 21 yards on this opening drive for the home side Lions. Fresh set of downs from the Winnipeg 38. Again, quickly, this time Hatcher down inside the 30. And he's awfully close to another first down. Looks like they might mark him just shy.
Well, they started moving Keon Hatcher around last week and played him as a single receiver in the short side of the field, or he put him in the number 3 spot to the wide side. And he produced in a big way. 4 catches, 150 yards, had a 77-yarder in that game last week. Again, didn't get the W, but
the Lions at one point last week were trailing 18-3 out in Winnipeg. Looking to get off to a better start here. Just second and inches. Mazzoli, quarterback keeper, jumps over the line, and he's got a BC Lions first down with 2 minutes remaining here in a quick-paced opening quarter.
You know, I mentioned that Jeremiah Mazzoli, I mean, his arrow was headed up when you think of his career. And by the way, it doesn't matter really, you know, what team you cheer for in the CFL. Jeremiah Mazzoli is a guy that is just easy to like. He's just a good human being, great to talk to, football mind, outstanding teammate. So I know there was a lot of people cheering for him, and he went through those injuries, but he looks sharp physically right now on this first drive for the Lions.
He's 4 of 5 for 39 yards. Has Butler standing to his right. Butler will protect. Mazzoli gets it away. Near side back to McInnes again. And they'll push it ahead. Breaks the tackle. What an effort by McInnes. And he takes it down to the 20.
Sometimes he's a little bit like Gumby, isn't he? He just kind of bends, and
that's a big man to be that bendy.
You try to make the tackle on him, and he kind of flips away from that one, bends away from the other one, and good yardage after the catch.
How about the look on Mazzoli's face when we asked him this week? I said, so about throwing the ball to Justin McInnes. And he's like,
yeah,
it's a treat.
Yeah,
it's a treat. He's found him 3 times on this drive as they look for a response. 2nd and 3. Back to Butler. Great second effort. And that should be a BC Lions first down. It's close. Long look at this. And they're going to want a closer look at this one. And they'll bring the chains in to take a little peek at it. If not, it'll be 3rd and a matter of inches.
Well, here's something that you don't see very often in the CFL. When you consider that all 3 phases are so important and so active in special teams, that's how close it is. There's only been 1 offensive possession for the Bombers and 1 offensive possession for the Lions in the whole first quarter.
And this was not going to end. I mean, this first possession for BC is likely going to carry over into the second quarter. So,
well, and when you consider, you know, we have the most exciting final 3 minutes in sports, in my opinion, in the CFL. And at times in the final 3 minutes, and I know the clock works a little differently, but you can get 2 or 3 possessions in the final 3 minutes, which is why we see the dramatic comebacks, i.e. last night in Toronto.
Yeah, that was somewhat thrilling, wasn't it? Oh, man. That looked like a fun time. Mazzoli 3rd and super duper short. And he pushes it ahead for a Lions first down. What an important drive for BC. Winnipeg had a 12-play drive to open the scoring. That was the 12th play of this drive. Even if you don't finish it with a major. It was just, hey, we're not going to be pushed around like we were last week.
It is big, but I think if you ask Buck, that major is important against this team in particular. You know, this team will just start to roll, and you can't match their majors with field goals. But, yeah, outstanding opening drive to match Zach Collaros.
Final play of the opening quarter. Bombers bringing some pressure. Mazzoli gets it away. End zone shot broken up neatly. Dietrich Nichols says not today. And he bats it down to end the quarter. Mazzoli looking for Eberhardt, and Dietrich Nichols, who's been a West All-Star 3 times in the last 4 years, makes a play on the ball. Winnipeg on the road leading 7-0. BC Lions knocking on the door. And if you look at the rest of these numbers, pretty evenly played opening quarter, I'd say.
Yeah, first downs identical, time of possession identical, and that first BC drive in the first quarter not finished yet. We'll see what Jeremiah Mazzoli. But, you know, with his injury history, it's good to see his feet as active as they are. His recognition is there. You know, Jeremiah Mazzoli, that's the reason that the BC Lions brought him in. They wanted a veteran quarterback behind Nathan Rourke. And, you know, mutual respect between the two guys. It's a great quarterback room in BC. And Mazzoli, we'll see if he can finish this drive. He's got a 2nd and long here. He's got to convert that first.
2nd and 10 from the Winnipeg 15 for Mazzoli. Winnipeg shows some pressure. Yep. Lions going to move some pieces around. Mazzoli in his face, pressured over the middle. Bounced it towards the end zone. No. Incomplete. Katoy got turned around after Jamal Parker deflected it. And Sean White will trot onto the field for a field goal attempt.
Well, Jeremiah Mazzoli with that early count, you saw the snap count where he went up over the ball, yelled out a couple signals so that he could see what the defense was going to do. And they were showing the blitz, and they did go with the blitz. So they didn't check out of it. And Mazzoli knew he couldn't block them all, so he had to try and dump it to that hot route down the middle and just missed it.
Sean White has hit 16 in a row, and that one is up. No doubt about it. Chip shot for White. So Winnipeg has had a luxury at running back over the last few years.
Well, in the history of great Canadian running backs, when you go back to Andrew Harris, now the running back coach in Saskatchewan, Brady Oliveira last year, most outstanding player and outstanding Canadian. That was the 19 Cup where Andrew Harris double-dipped there. And now the mental health, or the what's the track? The track, you're passing the baton. Thank you. That's what I was looking for.
I didn't know what you were talking about.
I was looking at you going, help me here.
I know.
Passing the baton.
You're just moving your arms. I was like, what are you doing right now?
Yes.
Hand it off.
Look at this.
Look at a great run for Peterson. Here we go. Here's what Matthew Peterson has to say.
Canadians can run the rock. It doesn't matter if you put us in Winnipeg, you know, Sask. It doesn't matter where you put us. We can run the rock. You know, and it just so happens that this team here loves to have Canadian backs, and we do a damn good job at running. And so it feels good to know that, you know, it's continuing to grow at this position, and not just for myself but others.
21 yards on 4 carries. They go back to him. A great cut, and he's got another first down as Peterson picks up where he left off last week.
With the baton in his hand. Another really good run here. And, you know, this is what I mean. They just start to grab that momentum with their offensive line, opening up holes. Nice jump cut. In fact, not only Michael O'Shea, but other coaches, other GMs in the league have felt like he really looks a lot like Brady Oliveira. A lot of the same style, same size, in a lot of ways. Very comparable to Brady Oliveira, who will be back.
Now they go to Peterson. Hauls it in, but is wrapped up immediately Javonte Williams. Pressure in the face of Zach that time. Got it out to his running back, but nowhere to go.
But from that clip, Dustin, you take a look at that, and first of all, I love the confidence. The confidence in it that he understands sort of the history of the Canadian running back in Winnipeg and how dedicated they are to it. It doesn't matter if it's the first series or the last, or they're up in the score or down in the score. If the BC Lions can't talk them out of the run by stopping it, especially on first down, they'll keep with it.
2nd and 9. Collaros looking to throw here. Down the field. End zone shot. Lays it out there. Broken up. Tried to find Stern. Double coverage. Beaulieu and Ronald Kent Jr. were there.
Yeah, Christophe Beaulieu looked like he was a little bit behind the plays, just to the right corner of your screen, and he recovers and does one thing he has to do here. If he doesn't look back, he may get a screening call, but he looks back. Look at 29. He's going to turn, gets that hand on Stern. See, turns back to look for the football. That avoids the pass interference penalty.
It'll be a 55-yard attempt for Castillo. Had 2 from 60-plus last year, 11 from beyond 50, which was a CFL record. Just inside the right hash from 55 for Castillo. That is up, and it is right down the middle. A deep shot from Sergio. And Winnipeg goes on top. We've got a scrum just outside the 45 that we'll pick up when we return. For over 20 years, along with the CFL and its member clubs, the Purolator Tackle Hunger Program has delivered over 25 million pounds of food to families in need. Please go to PurolatorTackleHunger.ca to donate today. And there's a look at some upcoming games for the Purolator Tackle Hunger Program. So BC gets the ball back, had to settle for a field goal on their first drive. Moved the ball well, though. Mazzoli on the run to his right, dumps it off. A little bit of space here for Hatcher, who hauls it in. And nothing wrong with a steady diet of Hatcher and McInnes for the veteran quarterback.
Great read on this RPO play from Jeremiah Mazzoli, who's going to take a look at the defensive end. If the defensive end crashes, he keeps the football. Here's the play fake. There's the crash from the defensive lineman, and now he's out on the edge with the option to either run or pass. He decides to throw it out there to Hatcher.
3 catches for Hatcher, 3 catches for McInnes. They work from midfield. This time they will give it to Butler. Broke the first tackle, not the second. Tracked down and tripped up by Kyrie Wilson, but got 4 yards, almost 5 on that first down carry.
It's a good package to run for a player like Jeremiah Mazzoli and his skill set, because he's so athletic. He's got great speed and can run away from tacklers if he does decide to run around the edge. Buck Pierce calling a play package that really suits his quarterback.
2nd and 5 for the Bomber 50. Mazzoli bouncing around, throws it over to his running back, Butler. That is going to be picked up and taken back. No whistles on the field just yet. Parker down to the 10, to the 5, to the end zone. Touchdown, Winnipeg. Mazzoli misses Butler. Picked up by Parker, and he's gone.
The question is, was it a lateral pass? And that's what the officials are chatting with. I think Jeremiah Mazzoli is looking. Was it a lateral pass or was it a forward pass? It looked right down the line. And the call on the field is touchdown Bombers. So let's take a look one more time. Is that backwards?
The previous play is being reviewed by the replay center.
It's an automatic review, so no challenge necessary from Buck Pierce because it's a score.
It's close, wasn't it?
Very,
very close.
And again, you know, when it really depends on what the ruling on the field was.
Again, the call on the field was a touchdown. It didn't take long here. Let's get the ruling.
It was a lateral pass on the previous play. Winnipeg touchdown.
Heads up play by Parker. Play it like it's live and let the replay center figure it out after.
We'll see how Mazzoli bounces back after that one. Castillo out to make it a 14-point lead for Winnipeg. And that one is through. Well, last week in Winnipeg, the Lions fell behind 18-3. After this, they trail 17-3 as Parker. Thank you very much. Don't mind if I do. McGee, and it's good that I'll remember his first name when I look at his jersey. I really appreciate 7 going with the 77. And he's handling return duties today. Out of Albany University, he takes it and pushes it ahead back to the 30. Let's bring Farhan into the show with a little bit more on Nathan Rourke.
Yeah, guys, Rourke, of course, is not playing in this game, and Buck Pierce took lessons from the Mike O'Shea School of Injuries. Didn't want to talk about it or get into any significant detail. He wanted to keep the option open until the very last moment, but really when you saw what happened in the game and during the practice week and just how little he did, you knew it was very unlikely that he was going to play in this game. Rourke is a rotary thrower, not necessarily traditional mechanics. That puts even more strain on that oblique area. He was really testing it on the field before the game, so I think next week, given what I saw him doing pregame, I don't think it's out of the question that he could potentially play. He very much wanted to play against the Bombers because he's never beaten them, and they're not going to play him again this year, at least not in the regular season.
Oh, look out. That was almost taken back as well, as Terrell Bonds had a great jump on it.
Well, that lateral that ends up in the Bomber touchdown is really not on Jeremiah Masoli. I mean, he hit James Butler between the 2 and the 0. That one would have been a little bit late on that out route, but yeah, be interesting to see what happens with Nathan next week. It's a long season. It's a marathon. You got to be smart.
They're on the road against the Riders next week. There's a completion, and that'll be a first down. As right back to Justin McInnes, his 4th catch of the game. So the near interception, and then Mazzoli bounces back nicely.
Yeah, and this is a danger throw, too. This is right down the middle. There's linebackers lurking in the area. You see Tony Jones right there. He had to throw it around Jones at the middle linebacker spot, and in front of the secondary. Just ripped it in there.
Will work from their own 43. James Butler, 5 carries for 16 yards. Stands to the left of his quarterback. Now he flares out into the flat. Mazzoli, far side, lays it out there, misses McInnes. As Justin got turned around a little bit, never really picked that ball up, did he?
Yeah, I think basically Mazzoli was looking to keep this away from any DB for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers that might be trying to fly over there, and you see the double move. Justin McInnes is open, but he had to flip shoulders and look to the outside shoulder. Again, Mazzoli wanting to keep it away from the defenders and hope that his receiver could adjust in time, and Justin McInnes just didn't get there. Putting Hatcher by himself down at the bottom.
Everybody else up to the left. Winnipeg brings some heat. Mazzoli in trouble, trying to get away. He will not taken down. Everybody was there for the Bombers defense. Griffin, Wilson, among others, in on the tackle.
Yeah, it really was a bit of a coverage sack first. A coverage sack basically meaning the DBs had their receivers for the Lions covered down and allowed that pocket to collapse. Gave the defensive line a little bit more time. They do add in a couple of linebackers in the pass rush. Kyrie Wilson being one of them.
Okay, that makes sense.
It'll be Griffin with the sack. Carl Meyer out to kick it away from his own 30. Trey Valou slides over, takes it at his 10 cleanly. Back to the 25 on the return. Mazzoli looking for a path to escape. Could not find one. Well, I don't think I'm exaggerating by saying Zach Collaros is on an all-time heater with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Yeah, looking for win number 50. And go back to when he was brought over to Winnipeg back in 2019. I played against that guy on the far left. And if you're on a board that has his name on it, you're getting something done.
Got to be pretty proud of yourself there.
Yeah.
Another handoff. And that's our first look at Quentin Cooley, who by all accounts had an excellent training camp with the Bombers. 29 TDs at Liberty. Also at Wake Forest before that.
One of the speed dial guys in training camp. We're going to have to let you go, but you're on speed dial. Be ready. Be ready. Stay in shape.
5'7", 214 pounds. Peterson back in now. Steps up over to the left of Collaros. Collaros gets it away down the field up to the 40. And that is hauled in by Jareth Stearns. His second catch of the game. He had one for 13 yards last week.
Real clean pocket for Zach Collaros. Stearns is that second receiver to the trip side, and basically Nick Dembski is there to hold the halfback in Edwards Cooper so he can't widen to get out to Stearns. And if he does widen, then Dembski is the target. It's a pick your poison in that play for Zach Collaros.
Zach speaking very highly of Jareth Stearns earlier this week. Takes the handoff. This one deflected at the line and falls incomplete. Toure, I believe, getting his hand on it.
Not a lot of pressure in this first half on Zach Collaros. That's about as close as the Lions have got, although he's making those reads so quickly. It's difficult to get there.
Toure out of Rutgers. Had some time in camps with Atlanta and Carolina down south. Has a sack already on the season. 2nd and 10 for Zach. Collaros again, clean pocket near side. Great tackle made by Deontay Williams after Clarcius hauls in his second catch of the game, and that will bring up 3rd down for Winnipeg.
Yeah, the cover linebacker out there in space, and Zach Collaros thinking if he can get it, he has to beat one guy. That guy is Deontay Williams. If he can beat that one guy, we get the first down, drive stays alive. Williams made the tackle.
Will be taken by McGee. Flag as he gets tripped up just outside the 20.
They'll push it back. Illegal block by the Lions.
Jeremiah Mazzoli trots out onto the field. 7-12 for 73
During the
yards.
return, holding, BC, number 13. Half the distance to the goal, first down.
Mazzoli on his relationship with Nathan Rourke.
He's got it all. You know, he checks all the boxes. His work ethic, his leadership, you know, leads by example. You know, he's endearing to his teammates. You know, for me, it's just pointing out some of the things that you don't see when you're the guy. You know, when you're in it, you're in it. And sometimes you just need somebody outside of it, a different perspective to kind of just let you know what's going on sometimes a little bit, whether that's the defense, whether that's the guys on our side, you know, to watch out for. You know, I'm just trying to have this blind spot, basically.
It's a good guy to have around, I think, for Nathan Rourke at this stage of his career. Here's Mazzoli. Gets it away a little bit high, but hauled in and still pushing it ahead. Finally, will get the stoppage. Has an extra 4 or 5 yards after the catch there for McInnes.
Yeah, just a great extra set of eyes when Nathan Rourke is the starting quarterback and out there again after the injury, and great mentor, guy that I liked how he phrased it, where he said, you know, sometimes you're in it, you're out there and it's flying. There's, you know, it's like you're standing on a freeway and the cars are flying by, and sometimes it's those pair of eyes from the sideline that can suggest something and help you out in a series or two. And when we talked to Nathan about Jeremiah and how influential he's been, how much he's helped him, he said he just raved about what a great mentor he is.
They did get the first down. Now back on the ground. Butler. Really nowhere to go this time. Willie Jefferson, among others, in on the tackle. Second and 10 for Mazzoli and the Lions as we hit 3 minutes here in Vancouver. Bombers on top, 17-3.
You know the best part of being on the road and being in these stadiums? Being with the fans. We are officially in the Lions Den here with some of the best fans in the entire league. Coming up at half, we'll break down Zach Collaros' performance, the pressure on Jeremiah. All your Week 3 highlights. Let's go, Lions Den!
Is Davis playing guitar in the back, or what's he doing?
He's hiding somewhere, but
he's having a coffee. He's the manager of the band.
Not in his deal to climb into the stands, I guess. That's okay, though. I think Enoch was having enough fun for all of them.
Yeah, that's true.
He was having a good time. Benefits of being on the road.
Clearly, he's on percussion.
2nd and 9 here for Mazzoli. And flags as the ball is snapped.
A couple of things that I've noticed from the
procedure. BC, number 69, 5-yard penalty. It remains 2nd down.
To left tackle, Jarrell Broxton.
From the Bomber defensive line is that they've stunted Willie Jefferson a few times in this first half to an inside pass rush move, and they did on that play where Broxton was moved. Now, it may not have been because he saw Willie or he flashed, but what it does is it brings Willie Jefferson into an inside pass rush lane where when he gets his hands up, he's right in the throwing lane.
3 options, wide side left for Mazzoli. Looks in that direction first, throws in that direction, lays it up there again for McInnes, who's going to be stopped short of a first down.
Just short, but let me show you again. This is what happens. It's a bit of a twist out here, and Willie Jefferson will attack the right tackle, but then he goes inside. So if there's any throw to that right side of the formation, that's right through the hands and arms of Willie Jefferson. That's why they want to bring him into that inside gap. Buck Pierce had a play called that went to the other side of the field, and they are just short and will have to punt.
Yeah, 3rd and a couple here, so they'll play it safe, kick it away to Trey Vaul.
Another awesome name.
He had some good bursts last week.
Absolutely.
We were already talking about the vroom, vroom, vroom Vaul if he takes off, so got that one locked and loaded just in case. Takes it with speed and instant field position on a quick return. And let's let's go back down to Farhan Lalji.
Guys, Zach Collaros had an interesting seat for the game last week between these two teams because of his suspension. He wasn't allowed on the sideline, so he said he got about 20,000 steps on the treadmill in the Bombers' weight room, and he said he understands why the suspension happened and why the need is there for the rule, but he was disappointed. Now he just wants to move on and get past it, but more than anything, he doesn't want this to taint his legacy as a player. This has never been about what he's done. He's passed 6 or 7 drug tests, and he said when he got the week off from all the practice reps, it was a chance to get a head start on his coaching career, but he believes he's got a lot of good years left. He doesn't want to rush into that side of the world yet.
Yeah, I think he's got a lot of good years left as well. Looking for it all right here for Dembski. Oh, intercepted. Horrible timing. We were just talking about Zach. Now it's taken back up beyond the 30. Near sideline and taken away. Christophe Boyu steps in.
Great range and just a little underthrown from Zach Collaros. And by the way, this whole thing and missing one game, the legacy is intact. Even if his career stopped this season, it is intact. So I don't know about you, Dustin, but I almost go weeks without looking at my phone in the offseason. But this is a nice play by Christophe Boyu to go all the way across the field, and Zach didn't count him in the coverage.
I think I'm going to blame Farhan for that one, right? He was the one initially talking about Zach, not technically us. So sorry, Farhan. That's on you, my man.
You have to fall on that sword.
So Mazzoli gets the ball back. Less than 2 to play in the half. He's on the run. And tried to find Katoy, but broken up by Griffin. Farhan, what do you have to say for yourself?
Well, I think I should just keep talking about Jeremiah Masoli over and over here, so maybe he'll do something and we can get a close game going forward.
We'll see if that works. It's weird because last week's game, 18-3 at one point, it was all Bombers. This is 17-3, and I think BC's played better.
Well, there's a couple of trends. First of all, in the first 2 weeks of the regular season, a lot of the scoring has happened in the second half.
Yeah, that's true.
Teams, moving some of the chess pieces around, making some adjustments at halftime, and coming out with more offense in the second half. We'll see if that happens tonight.
Mazzoli to his right again. Down the field, looking for Hatcher. That would have been spectacular, but he could not haul it in. Terrell Bonds in defense.
Well, you got to earn it against this Bomber defense. There's no question. And there's lots of space. Not really an option for Jeremiah Mazzoli to run there because of the D lineman that was tracking him down. Or, excuse me, the middle linebacker and Tony Jones, but just ran out of room on that sideline.
So unable to take advantage of the Collaros INT, and now Zach will get the ball back here. Meyer stands on his 35. Low kick. And that one will bounce out. They'll mark it down at the 12. Aul couldn't get over there.
Real good punt. But time. Minute 37 is still time to at least look at field goal range, unless you hit a big one over the top.
Zach last year, 17 touchdown passes, 15 interceptions, had some pretty monster years early in this Winnipeg run of dominance in the West. And he's been pretty good so far here today. 10 of 13 for 93 yards, touchdown, and an interception. And he hasn't been afraid to throw that ball down the field, Suze. He's taken a few deep shots. This time back on the ground to Hema. And Alway in on the tackle of Peterson, who's been a bright spot once again in the first half, I'd say, for the Bombers.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is their DNA right here. The run on first down, kick into some play action in the second half.
3 yards from Peterson, so it'll be a 2nd and 7.
Stop here. You might get the ball back in time if you're the Lions.
Collaros on a draw, dumps it off to Peterson, but no hole opened up at all
was a real important piece to that puzzle when he got the good push up the middle, because that
Timeout, BC.
that draw was supposed to go right through the A gap, the gap between the center and the guard. Big number 14 just plugged that hole right up.
DeBaye was in on it as well. At the half, in the house, and they're setting up down on the field, ready to go.
Lead singer Kate on percussion, Enoch Davis manager.
I was going to say producer, manager, that type of thing.
Yeah. Manager, yeah.
Shin stands in his end zone right now, so could be pretty good field position. 66 seconds left on the clock. Seven McGee waits back on his own 41 for the Lions. A high kick this time. Taken inside the 50. Returned back out to about midfield. I think he stepped out of bounds right at midfield.
So is Connor McDavid a free agent?
No, we're not talking about that.
Okay,
I mean, being based in Edmonton,
is that a show?
I spend enough time talking about that.
That's a show.
He is still under contract for another season, eligible to sign with the Oilers this summer. Here is Mazzoli. He's Parker takes it away at the touchdown on a scoop and score earlier. Now he's got an interception.
Pressure on Mazzoli causes the high throw, and when it does, that's Parker right in the middle of your screen. Another big play in this first half. A little bit of high throw there, can't be pulled down, and that's a nice catch by the safety in behind it.
Now, with how they approached last year, they're definitely going to be within field goal range. One or two successful plays here. Ooh. Cam Lawson. Well, that's McInnes. He's a big boy, too, over his head. Indoors like this, they probably let Castillo kick from 80 yards away. So we'll see where Zach can get him. He's pressured. He's in trouble. And he's going to be taken down. That'll help things for the BC Lions. We said Zach's had quite a bit of time so far in this game. Not right there.
Good team sack here. Pressure up here by Betts. There's Tehema down at the bottom. I think you take a look at Hendricks as well, who is going to get the good push again up the middle. There's Matthew Betts. He flushes Zach Collaros back into the pocket. And then they meet right there at number 8.
2nd and 15 here. Strevler has come into the game with 40 seconds left in the half. Brought in some bigger boys along with him here as well. And they're just going to step up. And with time ticking down, Strevler takes the knee. And Winnipeg, more than comfortable, go into the room with a 14-point cushion on the road here.
Yeah, on the road. Couple score, 2-possession lead.
Bombers, the flag here. Right at the end of the half. I'll have to sort this out. Panel, though, just around the corner.
If we're watching earlier that Calgary game, Micah Alway was on our panel for a cool hit in that one.
Alway is the active tackles leader in the Canadian Football League, now in the middle of this BC Lions defense. Also the active leader in player appearances on the panel, as I was just told. Long discussion here, the officials with Buck Pierce.
Well, that would mean it's against the Bombers because he's wanting to know the options.
All right, let's figure out what's going on.
Procedure, Winnipeg, number 61. Timer, please put 1 second left on the game clock.
But down over. I think Buck Pierce was wondering if there was any way they could just decline it, get the ball, and kick a field goal or attempt a field goal from right there. But he looked disappointed as he turned away and got the answer.
Strevler takes the knee. And that'll do it for the opening half. Jeremiah Mazzoli getting the start here in place of Nathan Rourke. 9 of 17, 96 yards, had that one interception, and then that lateral out to Butler that Butler dropped, and that was taken back for a touchdown. Big half for Jamal Parker. He stands by with Farhan Lalji.
Now, Jamal, an interception late, and then, of course, the fumble return. Let's start with that play because it really was a game changer.
The fumble?
Yeah, the return for the touchdown.
We always praise the ball is everything. Run to the ball, pick up the ball at all times. So it was kind of second nature for me just to pick the ball up. When I picked it up, the ref looked at me with big eyes. So I was like, let me keep running. And the rest was history.
When you look at what this team has done in the last 6 quarters of football, I mean, yeah, there were a couple of explosives in the last game, but basically everything has been kept in front of you. How have you been able to dictate what they do so effectively?
It comes down to every person on the field, 1 through 12, doing their job, executing your assignment, and winning your 1v1.
Well, thanks for this.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
All right, Kate, with the big lead, 14 points at halftime. If you've managed to come down from all of your fans in the stands there, take it away for halftime.
Oh, you know what? They were all Enoch's fans. I had nothing to do with them, and every single one of them just asked, where's Davis Sanchez? They wanted nothing to do with me. Back alongside Ches and Enoch now. And what a first half for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And you saw Parker there. Chesney smiling because he's watching a DB being interviewed at halftime. But let's go to the quarterback right now. And I think we were all wondering, what would Zach look like? I mean, he's coming out for the first time this season. We've seen him year after year do remarkable things. And Chesney, what you said right off the hop, he was very aggressive. And that's exactly how he has maintained the whole first half.
Yeah, he wasn't shy. We thought maybe would Zach ease into it a bit in week 3, his first action. No, he was super aggressive going down the field. You look at both of these offenses right now, guys. It's a situation where if you look at the yardage, they're almost tied. I think it's 123 to 115. These two offenses, it's very similar. The difference is this Winnipeg defense is keeping them in it. You got to give credit to JY, Jordan Younger, DC, and this group. They're keeping the Bombers in it. Look, the CFL game, defenses nowadays in 2025, they take away the big shots. They take away the deep stuff and force you to check the ball down. It doesn't seem like Zach's interested in that. He wants to be aggressive, wants to go down the field. And on the other side, Jeremiah, he's trying to check the ball down, but it's just his timing is a bit off. He just can't seem to get anything going.
Well, you know, we know that Jeremiah has that veteran presence and what he can do. He has certainly slowed down now in his later years. But honestly, Enoch, when it comes to the Bombers, clearly their game plan coming into this one was get pressure early and often on him, and that's exactly what they're doing.
It is so obvious. Sometimes you get into a game and you're watching the plays. Okay, what is this coach really planning? Tonight, you know the Bombers are coming in and bringing pressure to Jeremiah Mazzoli, and they want to find out, can he handle the pressure? And so far tonight, it hasn't worked out yet. I mean, he's just been running around all over the field, and so sometimes you've been able to see the Lions have been coming in with extra men in the box, extra receiver, extra lineman. They're trying to handle that pressure, but some way, shape, or form, Willie Jefferson, Jake Thomas, and the gang are getting through to him, and so Mazzoli now is off beat, and he's letting go of the ball early. He's not even thinking correctly. This pass right here, it was a lateral. It was a backwards pass, and obviously Jamal Parker was able to pick it up, ran right through it. Every time you cross that big, thick white line, it's going to be good for you, and so he's going to have to calm down a little bit, and I want to see a little bit more accuracy when he hangs on in the pocket.
Not surprising. We sometimes forget, even though he's a veteran, Jeremiah is probably not getting a ton of reps until this week. So not surprising the timing's a bit off.
And you know what, too? Even with that throw to McInnes, I mean, McInnes is a big guy. Now, he jumped pretty high right through his hands, but you're right. The timing just that close, but they're going to have to get something going in the second half. Bombers currently up big, 17-3. More coming up right after this. highlights on Thursday. The Elks hosting the Montreal Alouettes. Davis Alexander extending the play. He's going to find a wide-open Tyler Sneed for one of his 3 passing TDs on the night. However, that's the good news. The bad news in the third, Alexander would leave the game with a leg injury. He did not return. He finished 20 for 24, 245 yards as he improves to 7-0 as a starter. Little Friday night football action. If you missed this one, you missed a great one. After the Argos tied it late in the fourth, on the ensuing kickoff, Mario Alford going to take the return for 99 yards. Alford with his first kickoff return, touchdown of the year, 4th of his career. Riders would win a thriller. They moved to 3-0 on the season.
I wonder how old he is.
I will tell you in a minute. Ryan Dinwiddie, I heard, was quite happy after that loss, by the way. Into the earlier game today, Red Blacks taking on the Stamps. Jump to the fourth quarter, Dustin Crum. Going to find Daniel out of Boye for the game's only touchdown. He had 96 yards rushing in this one, 113 total yards from scrimmage as the Red Blacks pick up their first win of the season, 20-12, your final of that one. I would like to issue a formal apology to one Mario Alford right now. I said that he was 34 years old on the SportsCenter hit after that game. Wikipedia did it wrong, and I should know better at this point as a broadcaster. He is 33. My sincere apologies. Enoch, that was a heck of an ending, though.
It was an amazing ending. I mean,
it would have been more impressive if he was 34.
I should have said he was 37.
That's what I told him, too. Like, you're doing this at 34? He's like, no, I'm 33. Tell Kate. But
I'm sorry.
I mean, this is the second trip back out east for these Saskatchewan Roughriders. They came back, and they were able to have this type of performance. They started fast, got a little bit slow, and Mario Alford just took it home. And what was surprising is just the self-implosion by the Toronto Argonauts. I mean, they gave themselves a chance. You do everything right up until the point that you're almost getting to the overtime, and you're missing a guy on the field. That hurts. And like you said, Kate, Coach Dinwiddie
He was not happy. I was being sarcastic for anyone at home.
Yeah, what stood out to me was the Montreal dominance. To me, when we saw this week coming up, really thought it was a spot that Edmonton could catch Montreal. Kind of a letdown spot. Tough to go to Edmonton and travel. And, of course, Davis Alexander, 20 for 24, 3 touchdowns. The score at the end of that game, not a true indicator of that game. Montreal was completely dominant. Edmonton only had 6 points through 3 quarters. 22 points came in the fourth quarter when the game was kind of over. So the dominance of Montreal on display.
Well, and as we say, too, there's so much continuity on that team. And having a guy like MBT, when Davis Alexander goes down, I mean, you can't really get much better than that. The Lions hoping they have a better second half. Currently down 17-3. We'll get you back to Dustin and Glenn right after this.
Winnipeg leading 17-3. BC Lions needing to dig themselves out of a hole. Justin McInnes stands by with Farhan Lalji.
Justin, the team of Winnipeg was able to successfully keep everything in front of them. They did that for the most part last week as well. What do you have to do to open things up offensively?
Just take what's given to us, you know, get the ball in our hands. You know, those 5-yard catches turn into first downs over time. So we just got to get our rhythm going and we'll be good.
What about just the turnovers in this game? It seemed like you guys have been moving the ball. The statistics are pretty even, but those turnovers seem to have been costly.
Yeah, so there's a whole second half of football. 0-0 score right now. We know we gotta come back a little bit, but you know, we just got to execute our game plan, you know, keep our heads up and keep fighting.
Thanks for this.
Awesome. Thank you.
McInnes, the biggest bright spot in that first half. 6 catches on 7 targets, 63 yards. And he'll need a bigger half from him even here in the second to get back in this thing.
Yeah, leads all receivers, both teams. But they don't lead in the score. Bombers with a couple big plays defensively.
Good news for BC, they will get the ball to start the third quarter of this ball game at home here in Vancouver. And Castillo gets us started. Thank you very much for joining us for the second half. Lions, Bombers. Seven McGee fakes the reverse. Good burst, but covered well by the Bombers, and they'll force him out of bounds at the 32.
You know, I thought Jeremiah Mazzola looked pretty sharp in that first series, which there were only 2 offensive series in the whole first quarter, one for the Bombers and one for the BC Lions that carried over into the second. Looked pretty sharp on that, his recognition and his reading of the defense in front of him. And then a couple of miscues. One was really not his fault. The lateral to James Butler hit him right in the chest. He dropped it, and Jamal Parker took it back for 7.
They start on their own 31. Masoli down the field, looking for a big bang right away. Lays it out there, broken up. Nice play by Terrell Bonds. One-on-one against the big man, McInnes.
Yeah, just take a shot down the field, even if it's not complete. Hey, at least you plant a seed in the defensive back's mind that you are going to go deep, but you can't play it any better. And you see how Bonds, when he turned to the inside, remember I showed you that touchdown earlier? DB turns through the receiver. He has a better shot of not getting the separation. But the difference for Bonds was he leaned into him with his right hand. That kept him close to Justin McInnes.
So 2nd and 10. Winnipeg sends 4. Masoli feels a little bit of heat, gets it away over the middle. Heavy tackle made there by Griffin, who I think's played very well early in the season for the Bombers, and that'll force a punt from the Lions.
Now, the one thing you don't see, I think, as an opposing quarterback when you're playing against the Bomber defense is a bust. You know, and it happens at every level. It happens to every team, but it rarely happens for the Bombers. If you're going to complete that deep one, if you're going to convert on 2nd and long, you got to earn it. You're not going to get a freebie.
I guess that's why they've been to 5 straight Grey Cups.
Exactly. King of the West.
Early second half punt from the Lions after an attempted deep shot to McInnes on 1st down, didn't connect. Vallow takes it at the 25, sidesteps one attacker, and eventually forced out of bounds just inside the 40. Zach Collaros making his first start of the season.
And it didn't take long. He was looking at a personal milestone to start his first game of the 25 campaign, his 200th touchdown throw. And let's go back in history to the very first touchdown throw by Zach Collaros. He was a member of the Toronto Argonauts. And there it is.
Tranks. Sammy Tranks.
Sammy Tranks.
We have to look that up. Yeah. Let's just be honest. Here's Peterson trying to fight ahead. He will get positive yardage, just not that much.
And his 200th to Dalton Schoen, that great over-the-shoulder throw on the out and up or wheel route. Did throw an interception to Christophe Beaulieu in the first half. Underthrown deep ball.
Collaros and Schoen back together again after the injury last season to Schoen, and Collaros not eligible to play week 1. Of course, they were deadly for a couple of seasons. Far side, high throw, no problem. That bounced out at the end, it did. Clercius working against Robert Carter Jr. Carter wins that battle. It'd be an incomplete pass.
Yeah, Robert Carter Jr. in his first year, 22 years old, comes into this game after 2 with 9 tackles and has really looked like he fits in and like he's not out of place as a rookie corner. 2 games now the Lions have played, and they haven't been, when they did try Edmonton or Winnipeg in game 1, tried to pick on him a little bit. He held his own and then some.
Involved in the return game a little bit as well.
Absolutely, that's where the Lions.
So he's becoming a pretty important player early on. Jamison Sheen kicks this away. Seven McGee waits for it. High kick. Bobbles. McGee, can he get there? No, it looks like the Bombers are on it. And McGee, with his head in his hands, disappointed as it bounces away from him, and the Bombers are on it. Looked away for maybe just a moment, and it's taken away by Smith.
Just a fundamental mistake that's made at every level, and McGee just had his eyes up and wasn't securing the football first. It bounces out, and Good hustle there by Jalen Smith. First man down on the cover team. Backup linebacker. He goes down there and makes a big play for the Bombers.
Smith, the 15th overall pick in this past 2025 draft. So the second rounder making an impact. Kolaris pump fake. Now he's going to go in that direction. There's a flag as this ball is caught by Jareth Stearns. He takes a heavy blow from Deontay Williams. Will pick up this penalty.
Sione Tehema was on the ground, and it's right by where the flag was thrown.
Holding Winnipeg, number 69. It's a 10-yard penalty. We'll repeat first down.
Kendall Randolph was, I believe, the gentleman trying to block Sione Tehema.
We were saying in the break, as we were discussing that last play, it's tough enough to beat the Bombers when you play well. Self-inflicted wounds are really going to hurt your chances.
Yeah, this is sudden change, so this is important for the Lions to at least try to hold the Bombers to a field goal attempt. There's the holding down at the bottom of your screen because Zach Kolaris had a play over there in the flat.
Back him up, 1st and 20. Kolaris, more pressure, dumps it off to Peterson. Can he find a block or two? Peterson popped just inside the 30.
Oh my God.
As Ahway came over to deliver a blow.
Well, when he was on the panel, he and Davis were having a good conversation, and they talked about he's a striker. And he doesn't just go and tackle people. He strikes them, comes right across with them. He almost put Matthew Peterson into the panel. He almost made Peterson a panel member over there. That's some good, clean contact. Physicality, right? Pow! Look at that. Just
Kolaris, far side of the field, and that one's dropped by Clercius, and that'll be 3rd and 13, and Castillo will trot onto the field for another field goal attempt.
well, but you gotta, you're looking at it right now. If you're Buck Pearson, the Lions, you're looking at it thinking that's a win. That's something you can build on to get the sudden change like that with a fumble deep in your own end and not give up a major.
Castillo, a deep shot earlier on from 55. This one, from his standards, just 37 yards. And it is up once again right down the gut. Winnipeg comfortably on top here in Vancouver. They lead the Lions 20-3 on a beautiful Saturday evening. Look at that. Look at that helmet.
Pretty creative. BC Lion beers.
Start selling those online. All right, Mazzoli needs a drive here, though. Started on the ground to Butler. This will help. Butler takes it out midfield and more. All the way down to the Winnipeg 51. Something to jumpstart the Lions offense right there.
Well, to start the second half, he took a deep shot, was incomplete. Then another good sequence by the Bomber defense, but that's maybe one of the best plays of the night so far for the Lions offensively. Butler thought he had more.
It was the longest offensive play of the night for the Lions. Goes for 19. 1st and 10 for the Bomber 51. Mazzoli had time, gets it away over the middle again to McInnes, and he is wrapped up immediately. Tony Jones and Michael Griffin both right there. 8th catch of the game for number 18.
Yeah, and even though he's in coverage, that's a good first down play. That gets you into second and very manageable situation for Jeremiah Mazzoli. Way more plays in the playbook for 2nd and 4 than 2nd and 10.
Catoy and Jermaine Jackson over to the right of their quarterback in the slot. Mazzoli down the field. Coming back to the ball and grabbing it this time is Eberhardt's. First down, BC.
James Vaughters plays that very well on the outside because Mazzoli's running the RPO and Vaughters makes him throw it. He makes him fade back and throw it. He does get the curl.
Make a good point about fading him back a little bit, right?
Yeah, pushing him back, and then we've seen some high throws because of that. Not on that case, but we saw him in the first half.
Just a 4-man front for the Bombers here. Mazzoli on the run to his right, gets it away again. That was up and defended again by Parker.
Boy, he's having a game.
He is having a game, isn't he? Came into this game with just a tackle and a knockdown, but he's got a touchdown, an interception, and now that.
Big play, dragging all the way across the field and recognizing that that crossing route, not the one Butler in front there, the one behind it, was heading into the zone side. He went over there to help out, and another big play by 7.
You know, Parker's 5'8", Katoy's 6'5", and he managed to get his arm around him and make that play defensively. Now Winnipeg's going to show some heat. They're going to bring it too. Mazzoli gets it away, and it's incomplete as Mazzoli picks himself up off the turf.
Pressure down low. Just added in, and you mentioned earlier Michael Griffin becoming just a playmaker in the linebacking core. He's made a couple like that. Cromdy goes in to take the block away to open it up for his teammate in Griffin, who comes off the edge, and he's the guy who forces the incompletion.
Griffin started his career in Calgary back in 2023 with the Bombers last year, and obviously back again this year. Here's Sean White, 43-yard field goal attempt, low snap. They set it up, and White knocks that one through. He's now hit 18 in a row, and we've got a 2-possession game in Vancouver with that man, Zach Collaros, leading the way for Winnipeg. Welcome back to Vancouver, where Mike O'Shea's Bombers are in the driver's seat once again, Suits.
Yeah, they are. I mean, still a lot of work to do to get this one sealed and delivered, but you see Michael O'Shea moving up that all-time list again. Talk about big names. Of course, BC Lions fans very familiar with the top guy in Wally Buono, who is probably watching tonight.
Likes to watch his Canadian Football League, doesn't he?
Hey, Coach.
Collaros, screen, Wheatfall. Can he find a block? Get a few yards out of it. Wheatfall, that's his 4th catch of the game. Nothing for Dembski yet in this game. He's got a 72-game streak on the line here. He's been targeted just once.
And that was early. I believe that was drive 1. So, yeah. Big game last week for Dembski. Of course, Chris Strebler started that game and played that game.
5 other players with a couple of catches already. Nothing for Dembski. We'll keep tabs on that. We'll get it to Schoen. Schoen ended. And Schoen really had nowhere to go. Caught that ball, and Jalen Edwards-Cooper there immediately.
Well, if the BC Lion halfbacks on defense have their best game of the year, they've got a chance. Ronald Kent and Edwards-Cooper. And that's a big tackle, because if he doesn't make that one, Schoen gets the first down. There's not another tackler close enough to help out there. There's a one-on-one.
McGee waits back on his 10. Looking to calm down after that fumble on his last attempt. His kick, shorter. McGee gets up, takes it cleanly in the chest, and just pushes a quick return ahead. And BC, down 14, will have the ball when we return on TSN. BC Lions with the Team Ted t-shirts tonight. For more on that, down to Farhan Lalji with a special guest.
Thanks, Dustin. I'm with BC Lions General Manager Ryan Rigmaiden, and both Ryan and Ted Govaya, the Ticats General Manager, were close friends and colleagues in Winnipeg. So tell me about the t-shirt and what Ted means to so many around the CFL.
Yeah, we just wanted to do something to honor Ted. He's been a great ambassador for Canadian football for probably 30 years. He used to coach at UBC. He coached in this league, worked his way up from a scout to a GM. So we just want to do something to honor him, let him know that we're with him with his health struggles right now, and we wish him well.
Yeah, we know that Ted is battling cancer. I know you had a chance to see him recently. What was that visit like, and just what message would you like to share with him?
Yeah, just we're all behind him. The visit was fantastic. He's still in great spirits, but we just wanted to know he's got a ton of love in this league. Teddy, get well soon.
Thanks for this, Ryan. Again, Ted, from all of us, get well soon.
Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent message.
Absolutely. By the way, that was Danny McManus on that first shot on the right.
Mazzoli. One hops it in to Hatcher, who forced Bridges back and found himself open. But Jeremiah couldn't get there.
No, he kind of faded away, and we talked about that, and the rush has forced him to do that. The rush didn't force him that time. He kind of did it on his own, and it may be just out of the fact that he's been pushed to do it by the Bomber defense a few times in this game already. But that was a really nice route run by Keon Hatcher for nothing. He missed him by about 3 yards.
5.5 to play, third quarter. They'll clear things out. Empty backfield. Mazzoli, tight window, guns it in there. First down, BC, as he gets it to Jermaine Jackson for his third catch of the year.
And there's the difference, you know, for quarterback, even veteran quarterbacks with strong arms, and he's certainly one of them and fits both those categories. If you step into it, get that rotation going, then you get it to your guy in the curl.
Jackson back to the sideline. 6 on the offensive line here for BC. Butler will stay in to protect. Mazzoli on the run. Heaves it down the field. Almost one-handed by McInnes. Working against Marquise Bridges, but he couldn't get up there.
5 receiver pack comes on. The extra offensive lineman substitute off. The target was McInnes, who's been at that wideout spot a few times in the offensive formation. There was an extra offensive lineman in there for protection, although Jeremiah Mazzoli got on the roll early on that.
Team leading, game leading 11th target of the game for McInnes. Mazzoli, deep shot down the sideline. Hatcher out of bounds. Not going to be able to get a foot down. He caught it, but he was forced out of bounds.
Yeah, Terrell Bonds was in coverage, and saw this last night in the game too, where defensive back is just going to run you out of room. You see the shoulder, just without getting the push action and a penalty flag, just keep running and subtly push that receiver till he runs out of space.
A little edge on the angle.
Just angle him out of bounds. The ball took him there too in that case, but good play by Bonds.
Takes it all the way up to the 35. He's averaging 12.1 yards per punt return coming into this game, and extra effort on that one after the little bubble.
Yeah, sometimes when this happens and you recover it quickly, it disrupts the cover lanes for the cover team. Gives you a seam. A little bit of rope-a-dope going on here in this third quarter where the two offenses not getting a lot of traction.
This guy's got a long stride. Anyway, when you see him open it up, yeah, he's only 6 feet tall, but he's got a long stride.
Good top-end speed.
First and 10 on the Winnipeg 35. Great up the middle. And that'll be a first down as they get it into the hands of Quentin Cooley. And you can see why they like him.
Well, I like his change of speed there, where he got the ball, a little hesitation on the jump cut, and then a burst. Well, the safety had to bring him down and hang on by. Sometimes those tackles by the safety aren't pretty, but they save a touchdown.
That's the first down of this third quarter for Winnipeg, who do lead by 14. Peterson back in the game at running back, and they'll go to him now. A little 1-2 punch, trying to spin away. That's easier said than done against Alway.
Mike Alway. This This is how you play run, stop, and middle linebacker right here. So you just want to cut this play out if you're trying to teach middle linebacker play. Step into the hole, lower your center of gravity, get your target, which is the midsection. Great tackle right in the hole.
It's tackle number 3 for number 3. Second and 8. Lions are going to bring heat. Collaros gets it away down the field. Poking up. Diving over there was Halatic. As Schoen thought he was going to slide underneath it.
Yeah, Halatic looks, he tries to fool Zach Collaros by opening his hips up to the middle of the field. He opens his hips up there, and then you see the turn, and then back to that backside. Now he knows, Halatic knows he's got pressure, so Zach Collaros is going to have to throw that to beat the pressure quickly. So he opens up and gets his hands on it.
3rd and 8. Punting situation. High snap. Janis gets it. Then cross kicks it over to the far side. And that's just going to die right at the 21. McGee picks it up. Return of about 7 or 8 yards there for Jeremiah Mazzoli, who holds a Canadian Football League record.
23 straight completions without an incompletion. This is what he's capable of. I mean, when he gets on and gets going, gets in a rhythm offensively. I mentioned he's had a 5,000-yard passing season at Hamilton to overtime in the Grey Cup. 23 straight is a record. Still stands.
He's got Hatcher here. Up to the 35, no further. BC's defense has come to play here in the 3rd quarter. They need to get a little something from their offense to stick around in this game.
Yeah, the BC defense in this second half is basically saying, hey, we're doing our part. Just start chipping away, even if it's field goals.
A couple of Sean White field goals, all they have to show so far tonight. 2nd and 5. Mazzoli lays it out there, and that'll fall incomplete. Was looking for Riley Pickett, who does not get targeted very often. But that falls over top of his head into the turf.
University of Saskatchewan Husky, 6'4", 250-pound. Pickett was well covered on the play, too.
He was,
had to run a wheel route, but he was covered down.
Bell stands on his own 25. Hey, Joey! Awaiting the punt. Meyer taking over for Flintoff this year. And that one down inside the 20. CFL on TSN will be back with Canada Weekend as action begins in Winnipeg. Elks play the Blue Bombers. Coverage gets underway Thursday at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Quick turnaround here for Winnipeg.
Yep.
On the road, and then a short week back at home. Edmonton, of course, looking to jumpstart their season after an 0-2 start. Loss this week to the Montreal Alouettes.
Boy, Montreal looks good.
They look really good, don't they?
Hope Davis Alexander's okay. Didn't finish that game. There might have been a hamstring, but that team looks well balanced. Great defense.
Now they'll toss it ahead to Dembski.
That's a forward pass.
There's the streak stays intact.
Now,
73 games. We'll give it to him.
It's a forward pass. It can be underhand. It doesn't matter. If it goes forward, it's a forward pass, so this will be a completion and keep the streak alive.
73 games. Stiegel, of course, 90, the Winnipeg franchise record. Dembski now 73 consecutive games with a catch. Usually doesn't take him until been the most targeted receiver by Collaros tonight, and he is stopped short of a first down. And Winnipeg will have to punt this away as we get set for fourth quarter action here in Vancouver, where the Lions 1-0 at home, but struggling to get things going offensively. They trail 20-6. Welcome back to Vancouver. The Lions do trail 20-6 here. The numbers really, there's not a ton of separation in this game. So how does BC jumpstart their offense here?
Well, in the third quarter, there was a lot of sort of from the pocket stuff where Jeremiah Mazzoli was either getting forced to be fading away while he threw and missing some targets or get on the run. I would suggest some screen plays. Maybe, James Butler involved, a couple bubble screens outside. Just get it out of his hands quickly. Let the receivers and the playmakers get some yak yards, some yards after the catch, especially on first down to get yourself in more manageable situations. But, you got to sort of look to different ways to get the ball. I'm not suggesting sort of just pounding it and running it between the tackles to James Butler, but those little bubble screens, screen plays to him, get him in space, see if he can make a couple guys miss and pick up some yards that way.
Yeah, Butler's targeted 9 times last week, 5 catches for 42 yards. He's got 8 catches on the year. Quiet tonight. Low driving kick here. McGee hustles over.
Goes out of bounds, a penalty.
And he'll pick it up just inside the 35. Short return. And James Butler in this BC offense, that's what we've done, or we've seen from him so far tonight. That 19 yards on the ground was their longest play of the ballgame.
Well, that's what I mean. And you can get him out in space. And the Bombers have done a nice job of getting to the line of scrimmage and trying to track him. But he makes one guy miss, and of course he did have the drop that turned into a touchdown on that lateral, and Jamal Parker took it to the house. But a little screen draw to number 20 might get things going.
Start on their own 38. They do get it to Butler, and he pushes ahead for about half of what they need, and it'll be a manageable second down for Mazzoli. I like the Lions bringing Butler back.
Yeah,
went out to Hamilton. Greg Bell basically took that job away from him out there, and he said he had a great relationship with Greg Bell when we chatted with Butler a couple of weeks ago. But he was a great fit here with the BC Lions.
Back in 22, Nathan Rourke arrived on the scene. A great 1-2 punch. In fact, they used Butler, as I just suggested, on those little swing passes and screen passes a bunch.
2nd and 5 here. Butler out the flat to the left of Mazzoli. Mazzoli's going to throw one deep. Up for grabs. Did he get it? Yeah. He did. Ridiculous stuff from Keon Hatcher. And the Lions come out some life. They just got it.
In the spotlight, Keon Hatcher, nothing fancy. In fact, I thought the coverage was real good on Butler, and Bonds was basically running the route with him, but he wins the jump ball, and how many times have we seen it?
Oh.
What a catch.
What are you supposed to do if you're Bonds and Parker?
Well, Parker was right there, too. Yeah, Jamal Parker working with Bonds to try and get it out of there.
Back in 2023, Hatcher, 15 contested catches, most in the league, and he just went up and got that one. Now they'll get it out. Eberhardt. Pat McInnes trying to set up a bit of a screen for him. Positive play on first down.
Bubble screen.
Yeah.
So it doesn't just have to go to James Parker, but you go to a bubble screen like that. It's a real quick throw for Jeremiah Mazzoli. Some nice yak yards on first down afterwards to get into second and short.
That Hatcher catch was so impressive because Bonds and Parker both had great games. And both those guys have been outstanding tonight.
Parker especially on a roll.
7 yards to Eberhardt. 2nd and 3 for the Lions. Mazzoli gets this one away quickly. Really zipped that one in there, didn't he? And Jermaine Jackson was able to hang on. He was thrown back, but didn't matter. They've got the first down, and the Lions continue to march.
Someone just went down. After the fact, it was a quick play action throw on the slant from Jeremiah Mazzoli, but right after that play, one of the Lions
lineman went down. He would walk towards the sideline. Dejon Allen.
That's a big one for the BC Lions. Their biggest acquisition of the offseason remains down.
Right tackle Dejon Allen is right here in your screen and gets that right arm up in the face of Willie Jefferson, right in the top of the shoulder pads anyway, and then immediately comes off the field after this play, favoring that elbow. And the reason he goes down is because the Lions will have to make substitutions now, and he wants to allow the training staff to come out to give time to the coaching staff to get those substitutions in.
Allen is in the tent. Mazzoli's in the red zone. He's throwing towards the end zone. Laid out there. Was it taken away? Intercepted by the Bombers. Evan Holm. And Winnipeg's defense does it again.
Starts with pressure. I don't think Jeremiah Mazzoli was comfortable in the pocket on this one. He got a guy right in his face. And when he went to let this go, he thought he could throw it to the outside, and then maybe only his guy could get there in Eberhardt. But no, Evan Holm's got some speed now.
Evan Holm just put in an extra burst. Beat Eberhardt to the spot.
He ran the route. Exactly. Beat Eberhardt, the receiver, to the spot. But Jeremiah Mazzoli was dealing with this. Pressure up the middle, and he took a wallop here. Boom.
Just a fourth career interception for Holm.
Love you, Nora.
And his first since 2003. Had 85 tackles last year, but did not have an interception. He's got one there.
Buck Pierce was talking to the officials.
BC is challenging the ruling of the previous play of an interception. The play will be reviewed.
All right, so they're ruling if it was, in fact, an interception. This is not the challenging of a penalty. They're ruling if, I guess, this catch was made by Holm. We'll give you a slow-mo look at it coming into your living room. Not much to see on that look.
Well, I'm with you, Dustin. It looked like Evan Holm had this. However, do you see the ball touch the turf right there? See what this ruling is.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. BC will be charged their last timeout.
Yeah, that
first down, Winnipeg.
That right arm was locked in. He had control as he went down to the ground. Now, you can't use the turf to help you catch it, but if you've got control of the football as you're going down and the ball just happens to drag across it, you still have control.
Yeah, and when that ball did hit, it didn't move at all. He had it secured in his arm. Now Collaros right away down the field, drops it in there at the 35. It's a big one to Wheatfall.
Let's get a little run at this. This is the CFL waggle. You can hit the line full speed. There was a couple of play action fakes by Zach Collaros there. That's why Wheatfall could have run the double move like he did.
Immediately back on the ground to Quentin Cooley. Let's take another look at this catch from Wheatfall.
He's in behind coverage, and that's the rookie on the corner. We talked about him fitting in nicely in this secondary, but Robert Carter allowed Wheatfall in behind him there.
He made that move, and Carter turned his hips a bit, and then Wheatfall, see you later.
It only takes a second, doesn't it? One little misstep.
Wheatfall might become a regular in CFL fantasy lineups because he's got 6 catches on 6 targets for 86 yards here, 127 yards on 7 targets and a touchdown last week. Now back on the ground again to the 20, and a good extra push will take it down closer to about the 17-yard line of the BC Lions. as they give Cooley a little bit of run here at running back. We saw him spotted in a couple of times earlier in the game, but out there on this drive for Winnipeg now.
See the decision-making here from Zach Collaros, knowing that even a field goal makes it a 3-possession game.
Cooley stands in to the right of Collaros. He's got 3 options, wide side right. Look to the left, now over the middle. Dumps it off. Jarrett Stearns down inside the 5 for a first down for Winnipeg.
Managing the pocket, Zach Collaros, when he gets through the middle of the pocket like that and is open and has the option to either run or throw it, and he will run it. He's done it occasionally. It's not his first choice, but he will do it. And when you're a linebacker like Micah Awe in this situation, you're wrong either way. You can make the decision to stay on your receiver, or you can make the decision to come up and help make a tackle on the quarterback who's wide open in the middle. And you're right in the... You're wrong either way. Now it looked like Nick Dembski may have got rolled up on here trying to make a block.
He is out in the slot to the right of Collaros. On the run to his right. Zach trying to find somebody. Drops it off, and it's caught. Look at this. Oh, I don't believe it. Healy's got it. First CFL touchdown for the big man. And they're celebrating in the Lions' end zone. How about that?
Healy's going. This one he had to go get, too. This wasn't just one of those, fool everybody on the field goal team and throw it to an offensive lineman that's waiting like he would be waiting for a punt. This is Tui having to go and run this one down. I mean, he has to go get it and catch it with his hands with coverage on him.
I love it.
Wow.
You're right. Usually it'd just be a dump off. He's on the run to his right.
And they catch it in their bread basket. They've got bigger bread baskets than most, and they'll catch it there. Not that time. He went and got it with his hands.
The lead is 21 as the offensive line gets involved offensively for the Bombers.
Here's Ely, the tight end, and he's just going to push to the flat. Now take a look at the bind that Deontay Williams is in, because once Zach Collaros is outside of containment, now if he goes up on Zach to make that tackle, easier throw. If he stays back in coverage, then Zach just runs it in for a touchdown. So, again, you're caught between, do I take the quarterback? Do I stay in coverage? You're wrong either way because the quarterback makes the opposite decision. Touchdown Bombers.
27-6. McGee on the return, one of his better ones of the night. Pushes it all the way out to the 40-yard line. And another target for Zach Collaros, just what he needs. Hey, Suits?
God is so good. God is so good.
Well, I just, that was Jason Hogan going deep into the playbook there. I mean, that is...
I think what they say is Jason Hogan was cooking.
Yeah.
That's what they say, right?
That's representing no lineman right there. Really great hands.
How about that? 17 points off of turnovers. Mazzoli down the field, lays it up there. Jackson went to get it. He's only 5'7", but it's broken up.
But here's what I mean about the offense for the Lions is that, and Buck Pierce went into it a little bit in the last series, but throwing from deep in the pocket to these intermediate routes just haven't been working in this second half. I mean, they got to break out of that mold and look at cross motion, pre-snap, other than the Keon Hatcher play early in the fourth.
Mazzoli 17 of 34. Now he gets it out to midfield. That's Catoy's first catch of the ball game. Fourth time they looked in his direction. This time he's able to get one.
coverage right there, too. Katoy had to rip that away from the coverage on the inside and spin out of that tackle. I think it was Reda Krabdy.
Moving quickly here. Eberhardt had to reach back for it. And they're going to rule it a complete pass. Terrell Bonds was saying no, but that'll be a pickup of about 6 yards for BC, who has to move quickly now with less than 7 to play.
And the Bombers will back off a little bit more now.
Far side, Mazzoli. Hatcher's got it. Broke one tackle. Stiff arms another. And takes it down to the 30. Mazzoli over 200 yards passing, but just above 50%. Couple interceptions. McKinnis and Hatcher to the top of your screen. Down the middle. Has McKinnis tripped up just outside the 10. Team leading 9th catch of the game. And BC hoping to punch one in here.
Well, no question, and they're going to just, work out of the shotgun with no backs in the backfield now. But it was a good throw, but the Bombers are giving them more room.
From the 11, Mazzoli, end zone, too high for Katoy. Couldn't haul it in. We'll do it again on 2nd and 10.
Hey, 3-down football now.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely down in this end for sure. Been a few of those. Jeremiah Mazzoli. It's been a while since Jeremiah Mazzoli's played in a live game. Not giving him an alibi, but
I think reasonably to understand some rust might be there. Bombers going to show some heat. They bring it. Gets it away. Oh, Jackson's pop. Look out. That's got to hurt. Marquise Bridges there to blow him up.
Make you earn it. They make you earn it. There's no bus. You see the hustle to the football, pressure off the edge from Crowder, force a quick throw. And Jackson.
All right, 3rd and 8 from the Winnipeg 9 for Mazzoli. End zone shot too high. Had a step 2, didn't he?
Yeah,
and that's going to fall incomplete. Looking for Justin McKinnis.
That's basically their night. That had an open receiver in Justin McKinnis on the corner route. Mazzoli has pretty good time in the pocket here. Very good time, as a matter of fact, and just misses his target.
Been a busy night for McKinnis. Really could have used that one. Instead, it'll be a turnover on downs. And the officials looking to sort out a flag right now, too, I believe. Here we go.
Player misconduct foul, Winnipeg, number 5. The ball will be placed at the 1-yard line. It'll be first down.
Winnipeg, number 5. You know who that is. Billy Jefferson. By all accounts, taunting the bench of the Lions. So that'll back them up as far as you can possibly back them up. Start on the 1 here. Last week with Strevler. Looking to do the same with Collaros, who's 18-24 for 170 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception of his own. Peterson stands in now, a couple steps to his QB's right. And they'll give it to him, and he pushes it out. Little bit of breathing room before he's driven back into the end zone. 4.5 to play in Vancouver.
Yeah, if you're a BC Lion fan, you're looking at, Farhan mentioned in the first quarter that there's a pretty good chance that Nathan Rourke will be back in the lineup next week. They have Edmonton, and BC Lions were starting the season with 4 Western opponents. Edmonton out of the gate, where Nathan threw for over 300 yards in that one here at home. And then the back-to-back Winnipeg, Saskatchewan next up on the schedule for the BC Lions.
BC was one of 2 teams to actually throw for 300 yards in each of their first 2 games. Hamilton with Bo Levi the other. So if they can get Rourke ready and healthy for a big one against the Riders, that'll be next Saturday. Winnipeg in action on Thursday. Multiple flags looking for Schoen. He's pushed out of bounds, incomplete anyway. Schoen targeted 6 times tonight. Big night for Carrick Greenfall once again.
BC, number 0. 5-yard penalty. We'll repeat second down.
Sione Tehema returning to the lineup. Been a beast defensively for the Lions over the last few years. At least 7 sacks in each of the last 3 seasons for Tehema.
Yeah, I think the Lions defense has played better. The one thing that we haven't noticed is that any sort of issues with the Winnipeg O-line, and they had that to make that one change with Gabe Wallace playing left guard. And
well, when you put a giant in at left guard, yeah, probably won't hurt your offensive line.
It's like when you have to take an Uber to get around your opponent. It becomes that much trickier, but this is what they do, though. I mean, this is what the Winnipeg Blue Bombers do, and it's in the front office or coaching staff. They hire from within. They have built their depth so that if they lose a starter, they bring in the mountain, Gabe Wallace, out of Buffalo, 6'6", 350.
17th overall pick in 2020. That guy's only 25 years old. How do you get that big? By 25, he's a powerhouse on the offensive line. Well, season's flying by. We're already to week 4 coming up. Elks will open up against the Bombers in Winnipeg. Alouettes and Tiger Cats in an all-East affair for Friday Night Football. Lions looking to snap a 2-game slide here. They'll get the Riders at home in Regina on Saturday, and on Sunday action, Argos and Red Blacks to wrap up week 4.
Red Blacks got the win before our game, and there's a couple teams looking for their first win of the season in that list. Argos being one of them.
Not going to be an easy task for Edmonton either, having to face a Winnipeg team that is on the verge of going 2-0 for the 5th time in the last 6 years. They'll hand it off again. Right up the middle.
Yeah, but not last year.
Not last year. Last year was the exact opposite.
Started 0-4 and got things squared away and got on a roll in the back half and then took it right to the Grey Cup. Wait and see how long Brady Oliveira is out of the lineup. Still no official word on that.
He was just put on the 1 game. Yeah. So a positive sign there for O'Shea and his Bombers. And it's a short week, a turnaround. They'll be at home, though. Princess Auto Stadium will be rocking.
Hey, Coach O'Shea told us in a Zoom call, the schedule is always perfect.
Flag as Collaros throws it. It's going to be picked off at the 35. But as I mentioned, there's a penalty on the play.
The reaction of Dwayne Hendricks.
Did he not walk out of there waving his arms?
Yeah, he was waving his arms like he was upset with what this possible flag.
Holding Winnipeg, number 66.
He's fine.
Penalties declined. First down, BC.
First career interception for Robert Carter Jr.
Important for him, but not really relevant in this one. It's important because you get that first one, and then for DBs, somehow they start to come in bunches.
Why you call Peter White? No, I said perfect. It was a perfect call. It was a perfect call.
If you go to to, we showed you in week 1.
He's the guy.
An interception when he was at Robert Morris. That was
completion to Catoy. That was the one where he jumped up, twisted his body. As he was twisting around, he one-hands it. I was watching you guys do this game. I said, oh, that's that guy. When you guys highlighted it, yeah, it was.
Now, Jamal Parker's got to be a little bit careful with those low hits on a defenseless receiver. That's a new rule that the receiver can't defend himself. You can't go low. But that one happened so quick, it would have been a bubble call.
Mazzoli with 4 options out to his left. Looks in that direction. Will throw in that direction. And it is caught by Catoy, but he's run out of room there, working against both Parker and Marquise Bridges. 2nd and goal.
Yeah, the panel guys were talking about the timing a little bit off with Mazzoli. And, I thought the first drive, it was looking more at his, how he was moving in the pocket physically and things like that. Whereas recognition, pre-snap. But the timing has been a little bit off.
He played 17 games over the last 3 years.
Yeah.
With Ottawa, right? Gets this one away. And that one into the hands of Catoy. I thought for a moment Holm was going to pick that off, but he zips it in there. Catoy's got the touchdown late here in the game, and some pushing and shoving for good measure.
Evan Holm was trying to pad the stats. He already has one. He got his first on the season. Thought he could undercut that.
For a brief moment, I thought he had it. Catoy had to be ready.
Close, yeah.
He's got it. One of the officials, I believe, is being 10-2.
Again, not relevant on the score tonight, but that's probably an important catch for Javon Catoy. He's got off to a bit of a bumpy start. Not necessarily all his fault.
Let's see if we can find out what happened to the official here.
Woodruff is trying to get.
Oh, yeah. That's the umpire, Kyle Ikulik.
Yeah, that's.
As soon as you catch it, every time it's right there on your way.
So Catoy with the touchdown. He's got 51 yards on 4 catches.
I guess, watching him last year, and this is maybe just me, that my expectation for Javon Catoy just went through the roof. I just thought, this is a 1,000-yard guy. And long strider, good hands, and it's based on that expectation, it's been a bumpy start. Numbers haven't been bad.
He's had some drops, though.
Yeah, a couple drops that first game. I think
that's a fair statement.
First game, dropped a touchdown throw.
We've got
ejections here.
A couple of ejections. We believe it's going to be Willie Jefferson. His second misconduct foul.
Right, a second.
And then
that's automatic.
Woodruff for abuse of an official.
And it doesn't matter if it was an accident.
So the officials continue to sort this out. We believe that is what is going to come out of this. So it'll be the end of the night for Willie Jefferson and Corey Woodruff. Woodruff was the guy who moved over from left guard to right tackle when they lost Dejon Allen.
Yeah, and remember, Willie Jefferson had got that penalty, something he said.
I believe he's taunting the Lions sideline earlier here in the quarter. The the Lions will be down to 4 linemen because Allen has been injured in this game. And Woodruff, we believe, is going to be ejected. Is that Tibu Dubaye putting on a different jersey?
Yeah, he's going to go with number 55 and is the emergency O-lineman because they're both gone.
Willie waving goodbye here at BC Place. Final meeting of the season between these two teams.
Series won by the Bombers. And won convincingly.
Yep.
You know, I mean, work to do for Buck Pierce and his group. Of course, we talked about Nathan Rourke, possibility of him returning, but Michael O'Shea, this whole discussion on O'Shea's squad getting older, you just might as well put that to bed.
Well, I think they've inserted
All right, there were 2 post-play fouls on the previous play.
There we go.
We have a player misconduct foul against Winnipeg, number 5. That is the second misconduct foul of the game. Number 5, Winnipeg, is disqualified. We also have a disqualification against BC, number 64, for physical abuse of official. The net 10 yards will be applied on the kickoff.
All right. Our referee, Justin McInnes, sorting it out nicely.
Yeah, well announced. But this Bomber team, let's remember they lost Kenny Lawler, Wolotarski, Ontario Wilson.
Second.
Couple guys on defense.
Push it in. Butler gets it done.
Touchdown on garbage time, but Brandon Alexander on defense. Adam Big Hill, you know, has been over the last couple of years sort of stepping back and retired. A little bit younger in the secondary. I think on defense, the Bombers have become faster.
I agree with that.
Yeah. I mean, you know, in that back end, you replace Brandon Alexander with Jamal Parker, completely different player. I mean, Brandon Alexander, big DB, you know, real imposing kind of physical guy over the middle, trying to plant seeds in receivers' minds that they're going to get hit. And Jamal Parker, 5'8", 184, completely different type of free safety. So wow, was he impactful in this one. I mean, that's a lateral. He scoops that up in the first half, takes it back to the house, but he wasn't done there. Watch this catch. That's a great catch for an interception. And then this knockdown, again, key moment of the game, 2 possession here, and Jamal Parker from the safety spot tracks Javon Katoy and gets the knockdown there. So big night for him.
And then on the offensive side of the ball, you know, you mentioned they lose Kenny Lawler. They do get Schoen back, who was injured last season. And this Carrick Wheatfall gives me like young Kenny Lawler vibes. Kenny Lawler's amazing. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to compare them, but he moves smoothly like Kenny Lawler does. Yeah, so I think there's a lot of potential, I guess, is what I'm saying with Carrick Wheatfall.
Yeah, Carrick Wheatfall can blow the top off the defense.
All right.
Well, that's touched. That's
short kick. That is touched. Home gets there, though, and will push it out of bounds. It was live after the initial touch, but the Lions could not get there. And Evan Holm, who has an interception in this game, is able to bat it out with 92 seconds left.
Well, and speaking of, they look faster on defense. There's maybe the fastest of all of them playing on this hands team, the onside kick return team, and he just beats everybody to that football. Tips it out. You just have to knock it out of bounds to get possession. Can't kick it out of bounds. Have to deliberately knock it out of bounds.
Strevler into the game to mop this one up. He was outstanding last week getting the start, which led to a 14-point victory. They're up by 13 points right now. Did that ball pop out? They managed to hang on to it, but that was a little disjointed, wasn't it?
Little one bouncer right back up to him.
Would have been a tough bounce in your first CFL game for Quentin Cooley, who's got 6 carries, 33 yards.
So the Bombers have Alberta next couple weeks before their next bye.
Yeah, I don't know if the rest of the West or the entire league really wants to hear me say it, but Winnipeg looks really good again.
Yep.
Back to Cooley again, and look at that. Low center of gravity just pushing through everyone to pick up a first down. Darn close to one if he didn't get it.
Yeah, and then
comes down to the spot, but he was right there. And it is, in fact, a Winnipeg first down.
And Zach Collaros, a good game because he, in the first half, was aggressive, got that lead, and then managed the game nicely in the second half. Mixed it in, and the reputation is intact as far as I'm concerned, and always will be. His suspension, that's an old story now. We can let that go because he missed a phone call in the offseason, and that's really all it came down to. He's not ever tested positive and been tested many times, so we can put that to bed and move on. They've got their starter and leader back.
You could tell he was excited on his pregame hit with Farhan, like just the smile on his face.
Yeah.
He was ready to go.
It's great to be back with my teammates. It's a great group. This is a beautiful city. Let's go play.
200 career touchdowns.
Yeah.
Now for Collaros, he hit that tonight, and this will be his 50th victory as a starting quarterback of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. It's his backup, Chris Strevler, who, by the way, also led the team to a victory last week against these BC Lions. On a positive side for the Lions tonight, you don't have to play Winnipeg again this season.
But you want to play them if you
you'd like to get
where
them in
you
the
want to
playoffs,
get. Get them in the playoffs. Now, we're not seeding any teams in the playoffs just yet in week 3, but that'll do it.
Convincing victory for the Bombers, 27-14 the final. Collaros, win number 50 for this club. And it really was never in doubt, was it?
No. And Michael O'Shea moves up the wins list for head coach of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Jeremiah Mazzoli had some rust, but still was an excellent signing, not only to help with the development of Nathan Rourke in his young journey, but to have a veteran behind him just in case. So, as reported earlier, Rourke likely back next week. We'll see how he does in practice.
Dembski did extend his streak, now a catch in 73 consecutive games. Had just the one tonight. That's all you need to keep a streak alive. Winnipeg Blue Bombers keeping a streak alive as well. They've won 4 in a row against the BC Lions. Zach Collaros is back, and he picked up right where he left off. 2 touchdowns for Collaros as the Bombers will head home to host Edmonton. Winnipeg, a 2-0 start for the 5th time in the last 6 years. Convincingly tonight over the Lions. Sports Center is next.
Yes, hello and welcome to SportsCenter. Jermaine Franklin, Laura Dykin here with you, and that is a wrap here on week number 3 in the CFL as the Winnipeg Blue Bombers join the Montreal Alouettes as well as the Saskatchewan Roughriders undefeated. And hey, they're wishing they could play the Lions every week here because they're 2-0 on the season and 2 straight wins now over BC.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to matter who they have at quarterback either because Zach Collaros, he returned to the lineup after serving a 1-game suspension from the summertime where he failed to respond to a drug test. Okay, Blue Bombers, Lions. Jeremiah Mazzoli getting the start from an injured Nathan Rourke while Zach Collaros returns from a 1-game suspension in Winnipeg's opening drive.
2nd and 4 now. Empty backfield for Collaros. 4 to his right, including Nick Dembski. Collaros, a ton of time. Bounces out to the left. Throws a corner shot to the end zone. Hauled in. Dalton Schoen with the touchdown. The 200th of Zach Collaros' illustrious career.
Yeah, you want to keep that ball for sure. Collaros with his 200th career passing TD. He has the 14th most in CFL history. Winnipeg up early. Second quarter. Now 10-3 Winnipeg. Second and 5 for Masoli. He throws to James Butler, but it's a lateral pass and drop. Jamal Parker picks it up and takes it back all the way from midfield. Touch. Down. It was reviewed and upheld. Winnipeg takes a 17-3 lead. Then late in the half, Masoli throws, and this time it's Parker with the interception. Over the head of Aiden Eberhardt. Parker with the scoop and score and interception. Winnipeg up 17-3 at the half. To the fourth quarter. Now 26 Winnipeg. Masoli looking end zone. Oh, what an effort. He's picked off by Evan Holm. The Lions' fourth turnover of the game and second interception for Masoli, then on Winnipeg's ensuing drive.
In the slot to the right of Collaros. On the run to his right. Zach trying to find somebody. Drops it off, and it's caught. Look at this. Oh, I don't believe it. Healy's got it. First CFL touchdown for the big man, and they're celebrating in the Lions' end zone.
They're just rubbing it in now. As a Dewey Ely with his first career TD, the 6'4", 300-pound big man celebrates with his teammates in the end zone, extending Winnipeg's lead as they take this one. So the Lions fall to 1-2 on the young season, which is particularly unusual for them in June, as they came into the season a league best 9-1 in June games since 2022. Meanwhile, Winnipeg improves to 7-5 over that same span in June games. Just 3 weeks into the season, the Bombers remain one of just 3 undefeated teams across the league.
Tonight's doubleheader began in Calgary. A wet, chilly day for the Red Blacks and the Stamps. And after a rough outing from Matt Schiltz in week 2, Dustin Crum is Ottawa's third starting QB in as many weeks, with Drew Brown nursing a hip injury. This is the Red Blacks' opening drive, and yep, Keelan White had him there for a first down, but the rain playing a bit of a factor out there. They would have to settle for a field goal. Now 3-2 in the second quarter, and more issues. It's Eugene Lewis who can't make the grab. Another Ottawa drop means they had to settle for another field goal. 6-2 the score at the break. As we go to the fourth, Ottawa up by 1. It's 13-12. Daniel Adebaboye finds a hole, and he's got all kinds of room, but he's brought down inside the 10. The longest play of the game. Then on the very next play.
Rushing as a team. 1 point difference. Ottawa leading. Looking for more. It is caught into the end zone for the touchdown, and it's fitting that it goes to Daniel Adebaboye.
Adebaboye accounting for all 60 yards on the drive. His first score as a Red Black is also the first touchdown of the game as the Red Blacks extend that lead. Next Stamps possession. Going for it on 3rd and 6. Vernon Adams Jr. picked off by Charlie Ringland. Adams' third interception of the season. He's yet to throw a touchdown as a Stampeder, as Ottawa becomes the second team in the East, following Montreal's lead to get in the win column this season.
It's a testament to the work that's put in. Coach Dice does a good job in keeping the guys rallied, keeping us going, and we feed off of each other. Today, the weather wasn't the most ideal, but guys came out with the energy. You could just feel it from the beginning. Guys are ready to go and ready to win.
For us, we couldn't convert in the third downs, especially in tight. 2 third downs we decided to go for inside the 5. I mean, I thought it was the right thing. I thought if you could get a lead, get some touchdowns, I really felt it'd be hard for another team to catch up, and we were in good positions if we could have converted some of those. But they played hard as well. The guys laid it out there. Yeah, it was a tough weather game, no doubt about it. But both teams played hard, and they got us.
So Vernon Adams Jr. has struggled to find his groove since taking over behind center in Calgary. Although the Stamps are 2-1 on the season, he's struggled. You can see his completion percentage and passer rating numbers are both among the bottom 5 in terms of all quarterbacks this season. All right, let's head back to Vancouver now, where we find Kate Burness in the panel with more on this Saturday doubleheader.
Alongside Enoch Mwamba and Davis Sanchez, it's all quiet right now, but Zach Collaros put on a show here at BC. Plays obviously not what these Lions fans wanted to see, but we were wondering how the Bombers would react when their leader came back, and look, as I said, they were dominant in this entire game. So now it puts the Bombers at a perfect record alongside the Saskatchewan Roughriders and the Montreal Alouettes. Enoch, I get it, it's just 3 weeks into the season, but of all the teams, which one is most dominant in your opinion right now?
Wow, that's a tough question. And right now, I'm going to go with the Montreal Alouettes. These guys are playing at a high level right now. They look like they have taken their team to a whole new level. They were good last year. They somehow found a way to be even better. I'm looking at that defense right now. They are completely in sync. They're getting to every single quarterback, forcing turnovers in every single game that they're playing in. Noel Thorpe has that defense playing extremely well. I notice it by the little things that they do. They're punching the football. They're putting their hands up. They're forcing turnovers. They are doing an amazing job and giving that offense a chance. And, oh, by the way, that's not the only issue when you're playing these guys. It's not just the defense that's dominant. You got Davis Alexander, who is going on right now and playing out of his mind right now. Even though he got hurt, it seemed like he's going to be fine for next week. And even if he's not, you got McLeod Bethel Thompson. So right now, they're a team that you have to be fearful when you're facing them, especially early on this season.
I wish you asked that question before this game started.
Sorry about that.
I would have snapped answered Montreal right with you.
Ooh, you go
Not
different.
anymore. I like it.
After seeing tonight, we at least have to look at this Bombers team, and I don't think that anybody wants to see this Bombers team. Think of this. This Bombers team, they've only played 2 games. They had a bye week. They thoroughly dominated the BC Lions back-to-back weeks. And this is the BC Lions team. After week 1, Nathan put up 325 yards, and everybody was saying how great this team was going to be, how explosive the offense is going to be, and Nathan's been hurt. But Winnipeg smacked them, dominated them back-to-back weeks. So for me, I look at this Winnipeg team and look at the offseason. I think we entered the season this year probably bored because of the dominance of Winnipeg and maybe a little bit of lack of respect for this Winnipeg team, maybe just out of straight boredom that they've been so darn good. But they lose Kenny Lawler, they lose Pokey Wills to NFL, and they come out and absolutely dominate. This defense, what they have? At halftime tonight, they held the BC Lions to 3 points. The defense has been dominant. Their offense is rolling. I hear what you're saying, but I'm not counting out the 5-time Grey Cup participants in these Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
That's tough to say, huh?
I would say this, too, though. We did not count them out. We've done this a few years back. Oh, they're aging. Oh, they got rid of a couple of... We didn't do that this year. We didn't because of their pedigree. And you know what? I'm going to give a little love to the Saskatchewan Roughriders. I think they should be right in this conversation, too. Special teams is fantastic. Trevor Harris is playing amazingly well. The offense and, of course, the defense, too. So you got to love it. 3 weeks into the season, 3 fantastic teams. And it's only getting started as we send it back to Sports Center.
New on SC, far on Lousy with the man who picked up his 50th win as a Bomber, Zach Collaros.
Zach, you get the win in your first start of the season, your 50th as a Bomber, your 200th touchdown pass. What does all of that mean to you?
Just happy to get a win. Happy to be back out here with the guys. You know, a lot to build on. But yeah, it's just a lot of fun to be back out here.
Take me through the game, because you start with such an effective opening drive, and then you get one from deep in your own end in the fourth quarter. In between, it seemed like you just kind of did enough to win.
Yeah, did enough. We'd like to be more efficient, obviously, you know, create more explosives, all those things. Obviously, got to do a better job of protecting the football. But yeah, you know, a lot to build on.
Your 2 touchdown passes, Keurig Weedfall is turning into a guy for you, and you had to replace a couple of good ones. Do you see him filling that role? And what about Tuieli? He had to go get that one. That wasn't a wide open lineman pass.
Kerrick's been a great player for us for 2 years now, and he's just getting more chances now, so not surprised by that. Tui's got some of the softest hands I've ever seen. Yeah. So I was looking at him the entire time, pumping, and he made a great catch. So happy for him.
Thanks for this. Enjoy the weekend.
Hey, is everybody, what time is it back home, you think?
It's about 3 hours after.
I don't know if they're in bed, but Sierra, Capri, Dean, love you guys. Nicole, love you. Everybody back home in Steubenville, Mom and Dad, love you guys. Thanks, man.
Take care.
The Lions have lost 2 in a row now to the Bombers. Let's hear from linebacker Micah Alway, who is new on SC.
Hey, Winnipeg made plays. You know, sometimes you can, you know, football is such a team sport. You can stop them at the same time. Offense has to do good, special team has to do good, because it's a team sport. It's not basketball where one guy or 2 guys can really control the game. You need all 12 on the field to make a difference. So it's one of those things. You know, Collaros and the Winnipeg over there, you got to give them credit. They make plays. The big guy Eli, he's a hustler. So hey, good on him for getting a touchdown. So but it's one of those things. We just got to be positive. And we're gonna look past that and just learn from it and just move on from it.
You guys feel like you played defensively, and I know it's a 3-phase game, but it seemed like you gave up 2 drives, like one at the start of the game and then one on the play he's talking about. Do you feel like you played well enough to win defensively?
Yeah, we did. I mean, this game is so amazing because you can have one side of the ball, you can have two sides of the ball play amazing, but, you know, we all know that main stat. The only real stat that really matters in wins or losses is the turnover margin. We were -3, I think, or -4. So you can have an amazing game in 2/3 of the game or the game, but it's like if you're down -3, you're gonna need a miracle to win. So it's one of those things we gotta learn. We gotta learn, and even when we win, again, if you gotta learn. And let's look at Winnipeg last year. I mean, I think they started off 0-5, 0-6. They learned, made it a Grey Cup. So you, as long as we keep learning and we keep playing fast and physical, the X and O's, those take care of itself. But it's really about in between the brain that we have to grow in together.
All right, let's go back to the CFL. The Bombers 27-14 winners over the Lions. Here's BC head coach Buck Pierce.
The quarterback situation going into next week, how confident are you that Nathan will be back? And if he's not, who's the guy?
Yeah, I mean, that's too early to answer right now. So, you know, we'll look at it. You know, we'll look at the film tonight. We'll, you know, discuss and go from there.
How tough was the backwards pass that Jeremiah threw down the line to Butler?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's a play that we got to learn from. It's you know, it's a tough lesson to learn, but you know, just like I told those guys, we're gonna, you know, don't let, you know, our emotions or frustrations of this loss, you know, cloud our ability to learn. And you know, we got to learn from those type of things.
As a coach, it's kind of your first bit of adversity now with back-to-back losses. Does the message change at all? Do you do anything different?
Well, I think we just look at ourselves. You know, I mean, you know, I told the guys in there, you know, we have a good football team. You know, it's a good football team, but you know, we got to continue to look at ourselves and you know, are we making the right decisions? Are we doing the right things to help us win? And you know, it's you know, for us, it's you know, all about, you know, whatever the result is, you know, making sure that we learn and we stick to our process of you know, what we believe in. And you know, outcomes really shouldn't, you know, dictate, you know, who you are and what you believe in. But we're definitely going to, just like, you know, after a win, we're going to look at everything and you know, we'll look at tweaking things and continue to grow.
When SportsCenter returns, there's no party quite like a South Beach party. The Panthers give some insight into this week's post-Cup festivities.
Back to the CFL, Jeremiah Masoli threw for 281 yards, 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions, and he's new on SC.
Started in a while. Just how would you assess your overall performance?
Definitely room for improvement. You know, it was good to be out there and just putting some long drives together out there with the boys, but you know, the opportunities that we had and missed, you know, we got to be able to cash in on those versus a good team. So we'll see.
How tough were the turnovers?
Tough to see those. You know, obviously, first and second one, just not able to kind of just finish that throw. But that's on me. I got to either eat it, you know, feel that, and not make a bad throw or let the throw get away from me. But that's the difference in the game, right? I mean, red zone turnovers or wherever they're at, that's just a recipe for disaster. So we got to fix that. But you know, still some good things that we did that we can build off of and get better for next week. But you know, like I said, marching down the field and not being able to finish, we got to finish drives.
How difficult is it to finish that type of drive? I mean, they keep everything in front of them, tackle really well, they force you to be patient. It's not easy for teams to do. Do you find that it sometimes you can do it for a while and sustain it, but then it was hard when you got to the red zone?
No, I like it. It's a chess match, you know. It's the OC versus DC and us executing those schemes. But you know, we got to take a look at it. I'm not sure, you know, see what the details are in terms of where guys were and all that. So yeah, we'll see.
And new on SC, Bombers head coach Mike O'Shea.
Coach, what can you say about
Obviously happy about the win. Certainly not happy the way we played.
or I'm not happy with the way I managed the game at the end of the half and at the end of the game. I could have made sure we did things a little differently and not put ourselves in jeopardy like that. You hate to have to trot out your hands team at the end. It's it's a tough football play. So I'd like to see us better in those areas. But sure, coming on the road, winning. I mean, it's fun, and we'll enjoy it. The coaches maybe not as much.
And Zach's first start of the season.
Yeah, so happy for him. Football gets taken away, and it doesn't matter what for. It hurts the guys. So to see him back playing, it's just, doing something he loves to do and being in a spot that he feels really comfortable at. So I'm more excited for the man.
Talk about your defense tonight and what you saw out of them.
Yeah, pretty stifling. Again, I thought they made some plays. Obviously, everybody wants plays back, but basically three takeaways. A couple down deep, so took points off the board, which is a nice response for sure.
Coach, I think it's 8 turnovers now through 8 quarters of football here. You used to talk about how maybe pleased, I imagine, you are with that, and how critical that's kind of been to the first two victories here.
Yeah, once again, we took points off the board down deep, surefire points. So to have them respond like that, really odd first quarter, only 2 drives, right?
Yeah.
7.5, 7:45, 8 minutes each or whatever it was. So it's odd, and then the defense settled in, and like I said, they made their plays, which was nice. A couple nice interceptions.